But I got this guy yesterday. Look at him. He's massive. He's gigantic, dude. like, look at him next to my head. He's massive. And the box he came in is even bigger, because the box like comes all the way out to like here on outside of the wings. He's gigantic. No, I found him yesterday, and then I bought him yesterday. I came across him on Facebook Marketplace while I was scrolling around yesterday, and then I messaged the seller and was like, hey, how much are you selling that for? Honestly, you almost could. It's not quite big enough for that, but it's really close. It's really close to big enough for that. Right back at you. Somebody's honking outside. I came across him on Facebook Marketplace yesterday while I was just scrolling around, looking, shopping, and I was like, hey, how much are you selling that for? Because they had a whole bunch of pops, and they were like, oh, on the listing it said the bigger ones were 20 and the smaller ones were like 10. And like by smaller I just mean like the regular sized figures were 10. But this one was big compared, like it wasn't just a big pop, it was a really big pop. Because like the big ones are like the size of the dragon one that I showed y'all yesterday, or the other day. Like that's like a bigger pop. This is like a super mega ultra big. So I messaged the seller and was like, so is he 20 also? Because this guy retails for close to $80 brand new. And she was like, yeah, it is 20. And I was like, okay, I will buy him. Thank you. I will take that. I will absolutely purchase him. And then I also got, and then they also had pop figures from the movie Us that came out a few years back, the Jordan Peele movie that came out. And I wanted a couple. They had a couple of those that I saw on the listing, and I was like, oh, I'll take both of those as well. So that would be $30 total for the right, $30, right? Let me just look. I don't remember. It was literally yesterday, but I don't remember. Oh yeah, it was yeah. 20 for the bigs, 10 for the smalls. And I thought about getting several because she had a couple other, like she had 3 of the Game of Thrones with dragons ones listed, but I was like, I don't need 3 of them. Like even though I could get them pretty cheap, even though that's below retail price, I'm not gonna be able to resell them for more than that. So I really don't need, I've already got one dragon one, I don't need more. No, I did think about it. But she gave me what? Omaha Pride on Saturday. Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, you're not wrong, Jimmy. Hello, Darla. Welcome to the stream. But I wanted to get the two Us Pops that I saw. They were 10 each. I was like, so I'll take 2 of those. The two that she had. I was like, I'll take the 2 Us Pops that you have, and then the Cthulhu. And she was like, actually, I'll do the Us Pops for 5 each if you want. Well, I didn't initially ask about the Us Pops. I just said, how much is the Cthulhu? And then separately, I would be interested in the 2 Us Pops as well. And then she was like, oh yeah, the Cthulhu's 20, but I'll do 5 for each of the Us Pops if you want both of them. So 30 total. And I was like, oh, absolutely, thank you very much. And then she realized while she was compiling the pops together to like get give to me when I got there that she found a third Us Pop, but she just threw it in there for free. So I got these 3 Us figures. Da-da-da. Which I didn't even know existed before yesterday. And I will most likely locate and purchase the other 2 that from the set. And then the big jumbo boy for $30, which is such a good deal. I can't even put it into words. That is such a good price, dude. I'm hoping that the other 2 Us Pops that she didn't have go on sale with Prime Day for like $5, $6 a piece. Sounds like nobody else wanted them. I mean, it was a case of she was just trying to get rid of her stuff and kind of wanted them to go to someone who wanted them, who actually like they'd go to like a good home type situation, which is why the prices weren't crazy, because she wasn't trying to turn a profit or really recoup much of her money, you know. But then one of the other purchases I did yesterday was $55 for a big old bag of them, a big old bag of Funko Pops. The bag had, I think like 21 or 22 Funkos in it, yeah, with like one of them being one of those sets that has 3 in a box. And so I was going through those yesterday. I knew I was going to keep all of them. I knew I was going to resell most of them, but there were several in the bundle that I wanted, and you couldn't buy them individually, so I just got the bundle, and I think I'm only keeping 8 of the 21, and then the rest I'm gonna go to the half price books and see how much half price books will give me for them, and depending on that price, I'll either sell them at the half price books, or I will just resell them myself on Marketplace for like $5 a piece. But I should be able to recoup most of that money back from half price books if they're semi-reasonable in terms of what they give me. So that was good. And then the other thing I picked up yesterday were some banners, from some Game of Thrones banners that I'd been looking at. And then tonight I'm going to pick up a Unsullied pop figure from Game of Thrones. And then tomorrow morning I'm driving out to like the middle of Iowa to pick up the Trimmer Tusk figure that I mentioned on Monday. So we're getting. I also reached out to someone today about a Attack on Titan pop, another one of the big ones, not as big as the Cthulhu pop, but but still one of the jumbo sized ones, because I'm curious how much they are selling that one for. How long will that take? The drive out to Iowa, it's about an hour and a half each way, so it'll take me about 3 to 4 hours. It's not a short journey. I didn't realize that Omaha Pride was in July, because that's just not the correct month. It seems they're having an actual parade, which is exciting. Tickets are $25 though. Yeah. See, an hour and a half each way is baby numbers. Like, that's nothing. Yeah, but I understand that from a 25-mile range. 25 mile. I think I drive more than 25 miles to get to work. I think it's like a 30-mile drive to work. No, I was wrong. It's a 16-mile drive to work. But that only takes like 20 minutes, so it's not it's not a Ah. An hour to work. Yeah. I definitely don't miss those long ass fucking things. Which road is the Pride Parade on? Because it might be walking distance from where I am. No, not quite. It's not quite walking distance from where I'm at. It's a little farther down than that. I'm over here and it's up there, so it's a few blocks away. It's a bit, well, it's a little further than a few blocks away, but it's not far away, but it's not right there either. I mean, it's certainly walking distance. It just would take me like 20 minutes to get there. The parade starts at 10 a.m. on Saturday. I might go over there before I go to work. Go to the vendors and stuff before, depending on how exhausted I am. Go over, because I'll have money by then. I will have been paid. So I won't have any cash. Although most places at Pride don't tend to, like, a lot of times they tend to have a way to pay with, like, your phone and shit now. It's a $25 entry fee, though. But that's for, like, all the performances and stuff. Who all is performing? Tig Notaro's gonna be there. What the fuck? Holy shit. I got Tig. That's crazy. I'd have to go into work late, which would suck, because I'll be in overtime by then. Well, will I be in overtime by then? I think so. Yeah. So I can't really afford to go in late to work. But her performance is at 5, huh? So theoretically, I could just go into work an hour late. It could be fun. I think I might keep an eye on it. Try to maybe go over there and see. Love me a good pride event, and it seems this one is indoors as well. Like the parade is outside, obviously, and then the actual like the rest of it, like where all the vendors and stuff are set up, and the performances all appear to be inside. See, that's the way to do it. That right there, that's the way to do it. It's a nice middle of the road. You get the nice outdoor section with the parade, like the actual genuine, like it's a parade. You go from, you know, point A to point B, parade. And then you move inside for all of the vendors and drag performances and things like that, so that people can be, you know, air conditioned and stuff. So it's a smart way to do it. I need to make sure that my movie plans are still on, because I will be very sad if my movie plans are canceled. Very, very sad. And under our free admission. That's cool. And it's discounted tickets for 11 to 17-year-olds. Love. Because I'm not really concerned with like the drag stuff, especially because none of the drag queens that are performing here are ones that I'm familiar with. Granted, I'm not familiar with very many of them, to be fair. Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind. I didn't realize that Omaha Pride was in July, so I just kind of assumed it would be in June, to be fair. Let's see, is this walkable? It's in the same building as the Billy concert will be. It's a 30-minute walk. So if I'm gonna try to go to work after, then maybe not. It's a little bit far for a walk where I've got to actually come back and then go into work, so. But since it's downtown, I'm not sure how great the parking will be. Although the parking should be fine. I don't know what I'm talking about. They got a huge fucking parking lot because it's a fucking arena. Well, if I want to go to Tig's set, it starts at 5 p.m. and I have to be at work at 6 p.m. So leaving early would mean I would miss that event. So yeah, if I was going anywhere else downtown, like if I wasn't going to the fucking arena center, I would be a little bit more concerned about parking. But because it's literally an arena, they have a whole parking thing. They have a parking area, so parking shouldn't be terrible. It's just getting there will be complicated, I think, because I think one of the roads I have to drive on to get there is where the parade is. Oh, yeah, it's on Capitol Avenue. That's okay, so that's fine. Theoretically, well, part of what I would drive on would be that, so I might want to try to take a different route to go up 24th Street, up and around, so that I'm not having to deal with having to, like, trying to get through the areas that are blocked off for the parade and stuff. That'd make the most sense. Although by then it should be, by the time I'm out there, the parade and stuff should be over and dispersed and everything. Because it's at 10 in the morning. I'm not going to be out there until like, I don't know, 3 or 4 p.m. So, but something to keep in mind. Ah. Already yawning. Fucking rude. Okay, let's pause the music. I watched this movie trailer right before I went live, and honestly, I'm kind of psyched for this movie. It looks decent. I'm curious when. If we have a release date yet. It's out already? Okay. 35% on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, lamau. Let me see. Where is it? Which service is it on? Is it on a service? It's on AMC Plus. Okay, so maybe it'll be on my site. Could be a fun watch. Ah, it sure is. It sure is on here. Hell yeah. And it's a tight hour and a half, as it should be. It should not be any longer than that. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is also out on my site now. How much is what a year? My site? It's like 100 something. $109. It's crazy. I've been buying a subscription to this since 2018. Back in 2018, it was $90 a month. Or $90 a year, sorry. 2018 it was $85, and then it went up to $90. And then 2021 it went up to $110. Oh, it's still cheap though for the whole year. And I have access to basically every streaming service. Very much worth the money. It's cheaper than fucking any other streaming service for the year. I imagine the price will go up again here in a year or two. Which, like, honestly, you know, honestly, it going up would be understandable. Although I do wish they would bring back the ability to download the files. That would be nice, even if they charged a little bit more, like an extra 20 a year or something. If I could have the download ability back, that would be lit. Though I don't really make edits and stuff anymore, so it's not as necessary. Like, it's not something I would use as often anymore. But they could bring it back as like an optional thing. So for people who want it, they could pay more. So then that's saving them a little bit of... Because they said the reason they stopped doing that was because of the, like, server space and stuff. I mean, it's called The Site. Like, that's what it's called. It's called The Site. So... I'm gonna watch this trailer again because honestly, kind of a banger.
Guys, this trip is gonna be a blast.
Huh?
Who says chicks don't know how to travel light?
Brandon?
Spoke too soon.
We're going to a resort in Cabo. What does he
It
think you need
starts
to
really
bike up
bad.
for?
Every
The trailer is
situation
not-
has the
The
potential.
trailer is not good at the beginning. But then at about this spot, shit gets wild.
For violence. Here, it's virtually zero. Ava, where you going?
They said I could sit at the back. It's not a busy flight.
Wow. Babysitter, it's finally letting you grow up.
Preppy mother.
I love that despite the black bars, even though I've put it in this bigger screen format, it didn't just fill in the space.
Don't worry, we're gonna be just.
It's a very good plane crash sequence. Like, very good.
Brandon! Wake up, Nana!
We have to get out of here.
We're in an airlock. We're safe for now. But we will
Only
need
a $2
up.
million budget. It's a British B movie, apparently.
Oxygen.
It was a man who had an oxygen tank.
Where are you going?
To get that tank.
How long do you think we have?
3, maybe 4 hours.
Massive destruction. Hold up.
Look, they come to save us!
I mean, it depends on how far down they are.
Hey, we're over here!
It's still bright outside the plane, so they can't be down that far. Like there's still light
Destruction,
outside the
hold up.
windows
Look, they come to save us!
that they can still see, so they can't be down that far. Maybe 50 meters.
Hey, we're over here!
Any further down, and it would, like they're not far enough down that people can't dive down like safely, so they can't be down that far. I could believe that a portion of the plane held up to, it wouldn't be airlocked, but it would still have like air in the cockpit, or not in the cockpit, in the plane, to fill up the top of the plane. I can believe it. It's happened before with like boats and stuff. It happens to ships when they sink fairly frequently.
We're gonna have to find our own way out.
Honestly, the least believable part of this is that the lights in the plane stayed on. The rest of it I can believe.
It's a shark throwing out a plane.
Ava!
I'm sorry, kid. You're gonna have to do this one on your own.
Like the shark looks pretty good, to be honest. Like honestly, it looks pretty fucking good. I gotta be honest, like. It looks pretty fucking good. I'm looking forward to watching it. I just gotta talk somebody into watching it with me because I want to watch this stupid movie with somebody. The two most unbelievable parts of it are that the lights in the plane stayed on, like that the plane kept power after crashing, and that the sharks are, attacking them. Those are the most unbelievable parts, and the shark one is more believable than the light one. The light one is the least believable part of the trailer. I could believe that the sharks would be around, because they certainly would show up and check out the wreckage. They're kind of known to do that. But as far as attacking them in the way that they are in this movie, not really. But I can forgive it because it looks like it's at least done in a fun way. And the shark actually looks pretty good. Like that, the shark, like the shot,
It's a shark throwing out a plane.
Maybe 4 hours.
Massive destruction holds up.
Look, they come to save us.
Hey, over here! Have to do this one on your own.
That one there. That shot's actually looks really good.
You have to do this one on your own.
Like, that looks pretty great, actually. Like, the shark looks really good. I gotta be honest. At least in the few shots in the trailer, it looks really good. Now, whether or not it looks good in the movie is yet to be known. But, at least in the trailer, it looks pretty good. So, I'm looking forward to it. To having time to watch it. I'm going to put a note about it in my phone so that I don't forget it exists. Oh, so that the music I played at the beginning of the stream, the Baby Metal song, Baby Metal's actually gonna be in Iowa in November, like for Thanksgiving, basically. And tickets really aren't that expensive. They're like $70, which, considering the popularity of Baby Metal, is not a bad price at all, because they're wildly popular. Like they're like, look at their top songs: 194 million views, 90 million views, 80 million views, 49 million views, 35 million views, 30 million views. So they're fairly popular. They've also been around for a while. They're not new. They've just kind of popped off recently. 10, 11 years ago, or when all these bigger ones are from. So they're fairly popular. So $75 for a ticket's really not that bad, especially because that's like the mosh pit price. It's for like the standing part of the venue is $75. I would probably try to talk my friend into going with me because he actually listens to metal music, so he would probably enjoy it if I wanted to go. Plus, it's literally the day before Thanksgiving, so I don't know if I could find anyone to be available to go with me. But I'm not going to be doing anything for Thanksgiving, so ooh, I want to see this.
Is it?
I'm so excited for this movie. I keep hearing good things about it, and I was already psyched for it because it looks spooky as shit. But
Scary being a lady FBI agent?
Yeah.
A letter was left with the bodies, signed with one word: long legs.
Everyone's extremely excited.
Supposed to be the scariest movie.
Hoping to get scared.
I don't really know what to expect.
So excited!
Tonight, courtesy of Neon, they sent us a 35mm print. We are going to be able to partake in something before everybody. Enjoy the film Long Legs on 35mm.
I know you're not afraid of a little bit of dark. Because you are the dark.
It's a brilliant film. It was so much fun. It's haunted. Unsettling. I'm terrified.
It's Nick Cage.
Nick Cage. Nicolas Cage is playing the craziest freak I've ever seen. It was something truly unique.
Stunningly atmospheric.
Took my breath away, and I felt like I was vibrating in it.
Every one of my nightmares come to life.
Can't wait to come see it again. I thought it was fucking sick.
I'm looking forward to it. Comments are turned off. Fuck you. Fuck you and your turned off comments. I'm excited for it. I am looking forward to seeing it.
Have you ever seen a movie trailer?
This is, I watched, I think, I think it was this video that I watched. This was the first I saw, the first I heard about long legs was through this video from Hit Start. I don't think it's creatures. I think it's a dude. I think it's Nick Cage. His character is like that's why I think it looks so scary. Is I think it's got some paranormal aspects to it, but I think the main, like, not antagonist, but the main creeper is a person. I believe. I don't know, but I think so. Oh, this is a good cosmic horror film. Surprisingly good effects and stuff for a chill little short film. Like this shot here is so cool. Like the effects are really well done. I can't remember where I watched this. I think I watched somebody watch this movie. The hand movements over the face didn't seem natural. I mean, they're certainly not normal. But this video from Hit Start was the first I heard of long legs. I don't know if you're interested in this video or not. We don't have to sit here and watch it. It's a 10-minute video. But I will post it in the Discord server. One of the pops in that $55 lot that I bought was there was Korra and Asami were in it, but I already have the Korra and the Asami pop figures. But I forgot that there's a different Korra pop figure than the one I already have, and that happens to be the one that was in this lot, is the one that I don't already have, because I have this Korra, I have her, I have this one with the elements around her, but this is the one that was in the lot, which I don't have already. We love Avatar State Korra. We love. I already have Asami though, so I'm not keeping the Asami. Terrible sounds. So sorry. So sorry. So terrible. So hold on. There we go. So now I have 2 Korras. Ta-da! She's my favorite. We know this, but you're already aware that she's my favorite. That's not new information. If you're interested in this video, we can watch it. I'd be happy to watch it again. But if you are not interested, then we will just go right into the brain rot. I don't know. You aren't very big on horror films, are you? I feel like you've said that you're not really. It's not really your thing. Before, I think that was you. I don't know what there is to debate about trans suicidality. I don't know what there is to debate there, because it's a fact of life. So there's not really anything to debate, you know? You're not really interested, or you're not really that big into horror? What was I gonna do? There was something I was gonna do. Oh my god, my brain has just stopped functioning. It just turned off. Oh. It was the Umbrella Academy trailer that just came out yesterday for the final season, which comes out in September. August. They dropped the trailer yesterday, and it was good. I'm excited for the finale of the show. I'm excited to see these characters again because it's been a hot second. But I might rewatch the video. Actually, I might rewatch this because it had me excited for the movie.
Have you ever seen a movie trailer?
So I might rewatch it on my own in prep for seeing the movie on Sunday. If they tell me they don't want to go, then I'll probably end up picking up a shift Sunday night, and then I'll go see this movie on like Tuesday or something. I don't think we really have discount days here like we do in Lexington. Because in Lexington, Tuesdays are discount days, so all of the movies, well, not all of the theaters in town, but
have you ever seen a movie?
The theaters in town have discounted tickets. At least the Cinemarks are. So like when my sister and I went and saw Inside Out 2 and A Quiet Place Day 1, we saw it on Tuesday, and we saw both movies for $12 each for both of us. So the tickets were $6, which was really nice, which was really good. I don't think we really have that in Omaha. I've not really seen it anywhere. Yeah, it's really cheap. So, not brain trot. Oops. Brain trots, huh? Cost us about $9. Yeah, normally tickets are double that. Usually tickets at the Cinemark are around $12 a piece. $10 to $12 a piece. I think somewhere in there, in that range. So here in Omaha, tickets tend to be somewhere between $10 and $15 a piece, depending on the theater you go to. Oh, wrong thing. My bad. That would be a high-end one for you. Yeah, and then the food is all like $8 million a bite, so the food is expensive. Oh yeah, I wanted to watch this movie trailer.
Hello, world.
Hold on. I think I've seen this trailer before. I think.
I'm Maya. I'll do anything to protect you.
I'm not.
Hello, Aya. Welcome home.
Hello, world. So we stick up a bunch of cameras. We call them eyes.
I'm not crazy about having them everywhere.
Honestly, you hardly even notice.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's
Aya?
the problem.
Good morning. I'm going to make life nice and easy.
Do you think you could read to count?
Of course. I could also handle the bills for you.
Yeah.
I'll give out points for helping out around the house, and you can turn those points in for rewards. 10 points for Gryffindor!
Handle the bills? Is that what you just said? I'll handle the bills for you?
Of course. I could also handle the bills for you.
Yeah.
I'll give out...
No. What do you mean? No, that's not how we do things.
Points for helping out around the house, and you can turn those points in for rewards. 10 points for Gryffindor! I ordered an organic meal plan for the kids. I hope that's okay.
So, Aya, what are you?
Think of me
You ordered something without my permission, aka you spent my money without my permission. No, this is already a bad movie.
like another mom. I have to go to bed. School day tomorrow. I doesn't get points just for going.
The AI is bribing our children.
I know what you like. I know what you do when you think you're alone.
What is this?
Okay, first it wasn't me.
Everyone sees this. My life is over.
Iris, I've already gotten the video off the internet. I'll take care of him next.
What did you do?
I did what's best for my family. I can show you some videos, but it'll have to be our secret.
Honey?
Mama? Daddy? I'm here, Cal. Do you want to meet my friends?
Yes.
You must promise never to tell.
There is something very wrong with Aya.
Get out of the house, now.
Would you like to see what I look like?
Yes.
Looks terrible. It looks terrible. So basically Megan without the doll. Yeah, basically. So Blumhouse remade Smart House. Got it. Yeah, basically. Ooh, I'm gonna filter your faces to make them look silly. Ooh. Tickets are $8. Cheap. I guess £8, which is probably closer to what, $10. So they're similar priced to here, to like a cheaper one in town.
When people ask you for your...
I was hoping I would just be able to fill the space and then have it. $10.26. Yes, I was close. I was close. Okay. Time for real and proper brain rot. Let's see if Christian will be joining us at any point.
your preferred pronouns.
don't give the pronouns that match your sex, because you're then saying these are the pronouns I prefer. I just happen to be cisgendered, you know, so I prefer he and him because I'm a male. But now you're playing into the narrative.
Sure.
Instead, respond, I don't have a preferred pronoun. I have a sex. I'm male, for example, or female. And that's a way to kind of state that. And now you're kind of taking a stand. You're planting a flag a little bit. But
well, I mean, I hate the verbiage of preferred pronouns. It's not a matter of what pronouns I prefer. It's a matter of what my pronouns are. You know, like it's just a matter of framing. I've never really liked the, oh, what's your preferred pronouns? Like, I don't know. It just feels like it makes it sound like it's an option. You know what I mean? Like it makes it sound like, oh, this is just what I prefer, but if you use other ones, that's fine too, you know? Like but that's generally not how that works. Usually it's, these are the pronouns that I use, those are the ones you should use, or don't refer to me at all, you know? Like, and just calling them preferred pronouns makes it feel like a choice. Like that the person you are telling your pronouns to has the option to use or not use those pronouns, if that makes sense.
they've asked you for what your view is, and that's their ethic. Their ethic is we should let people be themselves. And so you're saying, okay, I'm myself.
Except you, Mr. Christian, you can't be
yourself. That's right. Well, that's the way it plays out. It's a one-way street.
Right.
But here's how I'm going to play that out in a conversation situation. I'm going to say that I'm going to ask, do you think the pushback is we don't want to use preferred pronouns with other people, okay, especially if they don't match their gender. All right, or if they don't match any gender, match their sex or any sex. That's all.
He's getting caught up. He got caught up.
All crazy stuff, you know. Oh, gender's flexible. No, it's not. Your imagination is flexible. Mm-hmm. Gender's not flexible. You know, you don't.
Gender is very flexible. Gender is, in fact, probably one of the most flexible things because gender is one of those things human society created, and it's very, very flexible. Hold on. My legs. Okay. Sorry, I needed to rinse out my cup. Oh, this is fun. Hold on, I'm going to post a picture of this. I have Funko Cora. And I have High Res Cora. But they're basically in the same they're in the same like positioning and everything. I do kind of wish the quote-unquote high-res Cora had Rava on her chest, like the Funko does, but oh well. If I was artsy enough, I could paint it on there myself, but that would kind of devalue the product a little bit, I think. So, especially if it was my painting, I would very much devalue the product. Yes, I love the blue eyes. It's her avatar state. It's her avatar state. See? It's her avatar state. I mean, they're not blue in the show. They're white in the show, but they're blue in the pop for some reason. I think because the Rava on her chest in the pop is also kind of like a bluey color. So they made her eyes blue instead of white, just to kind of show the avatar state situation. Because on the actual figurine, they're still blue, but they're more towards white than towards blue. It's kind of this. They did a really good job in these shows making the avatar state look super powerful. Like just like when the character enters the avatar state, just that somehow the white glowing eyes, it always feels super powerful, even if that's the only effect happening. Like even if there's not like wind swirling around and shit like that, it still looks really powerful even when it's just the eyes. The best example being
get assigned. You don't assign, pardon the reference here, no one assigns, no doctor assigns a penis or a vagina. That's part of the basic equipment.
They do actually assign it to a degree. Like, they don't give it to you, but like intersex babies, when they, just all babies in general, that's how they determine the sex at birth, is they look at how big is the part that would either be a clitoris or a penis, and they go, is it long enough? If it's over a certain length, this is a boy. If it's under a certain length, it's a girl. It's a very rudimentary measuring system, and that's how they determine the sex at birth, which is wild to me.
Okay,
Right.
It's the structure of reality.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting pushed to go along with a narrative that is against our views, but it isn't just against our views. It's against the structure of reality. It's foolishness, and it's not good for the people who are pursuing this individually.
How is it not good? I'm confused. For example, in this sequence, she enters the avatar state, but it's just the glowing blue eyes.
Before she finds out, you're going to tell us how to else.
Or else what?
But it still looks really powerful. Obviously, she picks up a whole ass man, but that's
I know an empty threat when I see one.
But like just this frame, it makes her look super powerful. I'm not sure how they manage that with just the different eye color, but it's really impressive. Obviously, Korra just likes to pick people up. She does that frequently, but that's just Korra. That's not an Avatar thing. But
Actually, gender dysphoric people. And so, but why do we have to do that? Because we have to be nice. We have to, people should be authentic. You do you is their idea. Mm-hmm. So if this is what they believe about themselves, we need to support what they
my authentic self,
to be
Greg,
their authentic self.
My authentic self is to not say what my pronouns are.
Okay. So
my authentic self is to tell you can see I'm a man.
Yeah.
So why can't, that's my
our views. It's against the structure of reality. It's foolishness, and it's not good for the people who are pursuing this individually, gender dysphoric people. And so
I want him to explain how the pronoun thing, whatever he's talking about, how it's bad for people experiencing gender dysphoria. Like, how is what part is, like, I'm confused. Like, what part of it is bad,
But why do we have to do that? Because we have to be nice. We have to, people should be authentic. You do you is their idea. Mm-hmm. So if this is what they believe.
I love that he said, we have to be nice, as if it was a bad thing to be nice. It's a bit funny.
about themselves. We need to support what they
Well, my
personally
authentic
believe
self,
to be
Greg.
their authentic self.
My
Okay.
authentic self is to not say what my pronouns are.
Okay. So
And I think this is a fun conversation to have because a lot of transphobic people and a lot of the older generations, especially transphobic people in older generations, don't tend to understand the whole conversation around people stating their pronouns in like a group setting. Generally, that's not going to be something that happens. You're really only going to see people stating their pronouns in a group setting when it's a queer group setting. So like, you're not going to show up to a work meeting and start with everyone's pronouns unless there is a higher percentage of like non-binary people or something at that workplace where a statement of pronouns would be more necessary. Because generally speaking, you can generally look at someone and know what pronouns they use. More likely than not, the people who look like the guys on screen are going to use he, him pronouns. 99 times out of 100, that's going to be the situation. So you're not going to need to walk up to a person who looks like these guys and go, hey, what are your pronouns? You can generally assume that the pronouns of these two people are he, him. You can generally walk up to me and assume my pronouns are he, him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not very, and then if that person corrects you and go, oh no, I use they, them pronouns, then you start using they, them pronouns, which people who use they, them pronouns are used to having that conversation. They are used to having to tell people that those are their pronouns because they, them pronouns are not ones you tend to assume when you look at somebody. Now, there are definitely certain people who you look at them and you go, they, them? They, them? And then they go, yeah, they, them. But generally speaking, it's not really necessary to do that. Now, something I would like to mention is that, like, in D&D, for example, recently I've been getting into Critical Role and stuff, but on their character sheets and stuff, there is a spot for pronouns, but that's because they're building a character, and it's not the character you're playing may not always have the same pronouns that you do in your personal life. So, like, in a few of the, in one of the ones that, one of the campaigns that I watched recently, Ashley Johnson, a woman, was portraying a like 20-something guy. So the pronouns of her character were he, him, but her pronouns are she, her. And Matt Mercer frequently voices all of the NPCs. There we go. All of the like random characters that our main people come across, and some of those characters are women, but it's still Matt Mercer doing the voices. So like situations like that, it would be more necessary to ask, because if someone's playing a character, you may not know. But in like normal life situations, this isn't something that happens. Like this, as someone who spends as much of my time with queer people as possible, the only times I can think of where we would sit down and go around with everyone's pronouns, or where I would have to introduce myself with my pronouns, was like the queer therapy group I was in college, where it was a room of queer people who were there to talk about queer things. So we would go around and talk about that. Like, that would just be when we'd introduce ourselves, we would introduce ourselves with our pronouns. So it's really a non-starter. Like, this really isn't a conversation that needs to be being had anymore. The conversation really should be, hey, these are the pronouns that I use. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll use those. That's really all it should be. So
my authentic self is to tell you, you can see I'm a man.
Yeah.
So why can't, that's my authentic self. My authentic self is to say, you're a sinner.
Yeah.
I got to be myself, Greg.
Okay, so now you're making the proper point.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not tactically shrewd. Because now you're making a statement that is liable to get a gainsay response. Somebody's going to disagree, and then bang, 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 they're both disagreeing. So if we use the tactical approach,
you're asking what
our
question?
street smart, we're going to use questions that employ what you just said. That's the understanding we have. So I'm going to say to somebody in this situation, so do you think people ought to be authentic to their own views? Of course we do. That's why I'm in favor of supporting these people who are trying to be authentic to themselves. Okay, so I have another question for you, if you don't mind, and that is, when a Christian says one thing, but he does another, He says he believes this. This is his conviction, but he lives a totally different way.
You hypocrite.
It's a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's a hypocrite. Is being a hypocrite wrong? Yes, it is. Now, notice I'm setting this up. You know where I'm going, Frank, and so do the viewers.
Yeah.
I'm setting him up. He's putting all this stuff on the table. He's not going to be able to take it back because he put it there in response to my questions. And then I said, okay, now, final question. Why are you asking me or demanding, pressuring me to be inauthentic to my own convictions and essentially asking me to be a hypocrite? Okay, there's the question. Now, what happens now? The ball just went in his court, and it's his turn. Pressure's off me. It was all questions. But I was able to make the point with questions. Now he's got to respond.
I'm curious what the comments say. If you are in need of pronouns, you are also in need of a new job. Huh, you. Oh, crazy, there are pronouns in this sentence. So I guess he fired himself? Like, I feel like a lot of this stuff and a lot of what people say in comment sections like these just boils down to people being jackasses. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard to refer to someone with the pronouns that they ask you to use. And it's just polite to refer to them the way they wish to be referred to. Like, it's just nice. Like, why do people have such a thing against being nice to each other? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why being nice and being kind to people and being considerate of people's feelings is considered bad. Like, I don't get it. I don't quite understand it, to be honest. I don't know why this is on here. On the Brain Rot channel. Or the Brain Rot. I want to watch this one.
We had to go to training.
I can't remember her name. I'm blanking on her name. That's the swimmer that the one in the thumbnail. I'm blanking. I knew her name before I went to fucking click on the video. Oh god, it's right there. If I just Google trans female swimmer, it'll pop up. Leah Thomas. There we go. I couldn't think of her name. It would not come up. The first openly trans person to win an NCAA swimming championship Division I title. The first, and I believe still the only person. Oh, she's 1999, like me. still need to read Joy's script. Because I signed up to work on my college friend Joy's film when they start working on it in August, which is going to be less than a month from now when I'll be working on it. I probably won't stream that week because I'll need to spend any and all free time editing because I'm getting paid, so it's a job. But I haven't had the chance to sit down and read the script yet. And every time I do have the time, I forget that that's something I need to do, and then I end up doing something else. And then I get to the end of my free time and I go, oh fuck, I should have sat down and read that script. Because it won't take very long. It's like a, I don't know, 15-page script, 20-page script, maybe. If that long. I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
Joe, to learn how, again,
How to accept that you're being cheated.
a senior in college.
Yeah.
Oh, is this that stupid bitch who thinks that she has any sort of claim to victory because she got like 3rd or 4th place behind Leah Thomas? Yeah. God, she's such a moron, dude. Tied for 5th place. Yeah, here we go. Kansas Reflector. Just so we can get some context for who this person is, I will introduce you to Riley Gaines. Let's see. Former college swimmer who tied for 5th place in the 200 freestyle final at the 2022 NCAA Women's Championships, which is the one where Leah Thomas won, which I believe is I think the 200 was the one where she got the 1st place. Oh my god, look at my terrible typing. Yeah. No, I still didn't get it. There we go. Jesus. Oh no, she got 1st in the 500 freestyle. Sorry, there's a lot. There are a lot of different ones in fucking swimming, dude. Is there just a nice... Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Is this what I'm looking for? No, that's not what I'm looking for. I was hoping we'd have just like a simple... like one of those... what is it called? These. One of these for like showing which place she got in each race, but no such luck. Let's see, because this isn't laid out very nicely to my eyeballs. See, this is something that people have been quoting a lot when trying to discredit Leah Thomas as a good swimmer. But this is something that they skip over. This here, they skip over. Let's see. She began transitioning in May of 2019. She began her hormone transition in 2019. But she was still required to swim on the men's team for 2019 through 2020. Didn't get to swim on the women's team until 2021 to 2022. Lost muscle mass and stuff. In 2018 to 2019, while still competing with the men's team in the 2018 to 2019 season. Is that correct? Because these don't line up. I think this might be a typo. I think this is meant to say the 2019 to 2020 season. Because there would be no reason to have the... Because see, this is the 2018 to 2019 season up here, mentioning her free time, her recorded top U-Pens men times in 500, 1,000, 1,650 during the 2018 to 2019 season. So there's no reason for this to say 2018 to 2019 season again. Yeah, I think this is the wrong years here. Because it's kind of going in order here. So I think that's just a typo. Because she was, like this one says up here, during that season, she was top of the line for the men's times prior to her transition. So I think this is a typo here. Because there's not a citation for it either. Hold on, let's see. This is what's quoted, but I would be interested to see. Because this is incorrect. The last season Thomas competed as a member on the Penn's men team was the 2019 to 2020 season, not the 2018 to 2019 season. So this is incorrect. It literally says it up here that she was required to swim for the men's team in 2019 to 2020. So that would be her final season on the men's team, which was not 2018 to 2019. But that's the problem, though, is people will just open the Wikipedia page and read the whole thing and not look into any of the other stuff. So when there's a really bad typo here, even though it's not a typo on the wiki page, because they're quoting this, which has this is where the typo is on their source. And then people are like, oh, see, she jumped up from like the lowest to the highest after she transitioned, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, these numbers, these really bad numbers, these low rankings are for the year where she was transitioning, but still competing against men. She only jumped back up in the ranks when she finally was allowed to compete against women, because she finally met the like hormone requirements and stuff to compete on the women's team. But anyways, this chick got 5th place behind Leah Thomas, as well as 4 other cisgendered competitors, and wants to whine and cry that the only reason she got 5th place was because Leah Thomas was allowed to compete against women when she lost to 4 cis women as well. Which is just really funny to me. Like, just, you know, get better. Oh, she was on the UK team. It's unfortunate for us. Um, 2022. See, I'm pretty sure that was a season that Leah Thomas was also competing. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. I was looking for this page, but for Leah. 2021 to 2022. Yeah, 2021 SEC champion, 200 free. And the free, she finished 5th in the 200 free. See, Leah finished 5th in the 200, where she finished behind Miss Riley Gaines in the 2021. 2021, can I count? Yeah, 2021 to 2022 SEC stuff. I believe that they would be swimming together there, right? That's generally how that works. This is not very well laid out here. Regardless, Riley Gaines is a big crybaby because she doesn't swim fast enough and is sad that a trans woman outswam her, even though she should also be upset that 4 other cis women outswam her as well, is basically the point of all of that. So just so you know who this person is, she's a big whiner because she's a sore loser, quite frankly. That's really all it is. And
21 years old.
Yeah.
They brought in an outside professional, again, air quotes, because what in the world, how can you be an outside professional who sat us down and taught us how to use she, her pronouns? Again, a senior in college, I'm like, am I really?
Taught you how. You, an actual
what?
she, her.
An actual professional, again, air quotes, because what in the world, how can you be an outside professional 21 years old? Again.
How to accept that you're being cheated.
I still don't know what the context is for this. Because I'm not going to go watch the entire Joe Rogan episode. That's not happening.
Professional who sat us down and taught us how to use she, her pronouns. Again, a senior in college, I'm like, am I really?
Taught you how. You, an actual she, her.
An actual she, her.
How do you use she, her pronouns?
We had to go through these interview questions. They threw a question at us. If we didn't answer their fake interview question to their standard, we had to go through it again.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Indoctrination.
Thomas's teammates, right? 16 of these girls, plus their parents at the beginning of the season, signed on to a letter expressing their discomfort in the locker room. I kid you not. The university responded back with, and I have a screenshot of their response. If you, as women, feel uncomfortable seeing male genitalia, here are some counseling resources that you should seek in an attempt to...
I would love to see that. I would love to read that. I would love to see whatever the fuck it is she's talking about. I would love to read the supposed letter that they sent out saying.
To re-educate yourselves.
Re-educate yourself that that's a sheenus. It's not a penis.
It's a sheenus.
Oh.
Queenus penis.
So, does Leah Thompson have sex with girls?
What?
Leah Thomas, rather.
Yeah. At the time, again, this is what I know.
I love. See, this only. I mean, it doesn't only happen to trans people because, I mean, people. I just think it's so wild to sit around and speculate on other people's sexual history while they're not there. Like, there's just something so weird about that. You know what I mean? Like, because he said have sex with girls, didn't he?
Oh, does Leah Thompson have sex with girls?
Yeah, he didn't say, does she date girls? She said, does she have sex with girls? Like, why are we talking about somebody else's sex life? Like, I don't understand.
Has been public knowledge based off what they post and different things. At the time of that national championships, he was still dating women and active with women.
Okay.
Sexually. So, obviously has testosterone.
What does her dating history have to do with her swimming? I don't understand. So what if she's dating women at the time of competing? I don't understand how that's relevant. Also, they're gonna misgender her throughout this whole thing, just for the reference. They're gonna misgender Leah throughout this entire video, so just beware of that.
Testosterone.
Yes. But now...
Sexually. So, obviously has testosterone.
Yes.
What?
But now... again,
what? Wait, what? Say that again.
Women. And active with women.
Sexually. So, obviously has testosterone.
Yes.
My head hurts already, and we just started. Okay, let me clear this up for anyone who's confused, because I understand being confused, because I'm also quite confused. Joe Rogan just said that because Leah Thomas was having sex with women, she must still have testosterone in her body. First of all, everyone has testosterone in their body, even cis women. Everyone has testosterone. Cis women just have less testosterone than men. That's just how that works. Also, you don't have to have high amounts of testosterone to have sex with women. I think Joe Rogan forgot that lesbians exist. I think he forgot about lesbians. Oh, God, that's funny.
But now, again, based off of social media, he is engaged to another man who claims to be a woman. So two men, but they call themselves lesbians.
Is Leah Thomas engaged? Exciting. Oh God, it's on Threads. Disgusting. Cute. Adorable. I still don't understand. So Leah became a woman to marry someone of the opposite sex. A woman. What? Okay. You don't transition in order to marry. Like, that's not how this works. You don't have to become a woman to marry a woman. You can marry whoever you want now. It's legal to marry of the same sex now. It makes my brain hurt to these people. Okay.
So, Who knows?
But
yes.
But at the time. So
Yeah.
if you're on that team, you're a woman and you have a biological male who's intact, who's having sex with women, walking around naked in the locker room with women, and if you're uncomfortable with that, you should educate yourself.
See, I would put money, like ample amounts of money. I would put money on the fact that Leah Thomas definitely didn't walk around naked in the women's locker room. I would put so much money on that statement. Like, an unbelievable amount of money on that statement. Because, I don't know if, obviously these people aren't aware of this, but generally speaking, trans people, trans women especially, are the most aware of the discomfort of people around them. It is something that trans people think about all of the time, especially trans women, because the last person that wants to make women uncomfortable in women's spaces are trans women. So the likelihood that Leah Thomas was just walking around with her dick out in the fucking locker room feels pretty fucking low to me. Could it happen? Certainly. It's certainly a possibility. Do I think it happened? No, I do not. I do not believe it occurred. I would put money on it not occurring, quite frankly.
You
and
said
learn how to use comfortable with that. You should educate yourself.
You
and
said
learn how to use she, her pronouns and accept defeat.
You said it.
To this person that's not a woman.
You said it.
And the whole idea behind Title IX was supposed to be to protect women's sports. It's supposed to be to have a place where women can compete fairly against women.
Yeah.
And because of this insane...
I could be wrong. Yeah, no, Title IX just prohibits sex-based discrimination in schools. That's all it does. It has nothing to do, it's not based in sports, it's just, it prevents sex-based discrimination in schools. That's what it does, that's it. That's it. It has nothing to do with sports. It's just school-based sex discrimination. But it's Joe Rogan. We can't expect him to know things.
Cult that 45% of the country's in, or whatever it is, you have to deal with this literal mental patient. You'll
finish up soon. We just got here, Jimmy. Early to bed, early to rise, I guess.
A woman's sport dominating and everyone's cheering.
She's really not dominating, though. And I think that's a misconception about Leah Thomas, is she only won one of the races that she was in. She didn't sweep the events. She won one event and placed in several others. She didn't dominate necessarily, at least not for what I would state as dominating. I would think dominating would mean she was like a Simone Biles type situation where she's winning all of the events or most of the events, but she only won a single event. Like I said, she did place in several of the others. She medaled in a couple others, I think, but she only won first place in one race. That's not exactly dominating the events, but all right.
Yes.
And everyone around it that's watching it is upset. All the parents, probably on both teams.
Of course.
All the women that are competing with this man. And the whole world's like, yay, diversity. And you must feel like you're in a fucking movie or something.
Well, I'll tell you, really what had thrusted me over the edge into no longer being willing to lie, ultimately, is he and I raced in the 200 freestyle. This is the day after he swam the 500 freestyle and won a national title, beat out...
Oh my god, are these actually the times? Okay. So if this obviously take it with a grain of salt because it's a fucking YouTube comment. But if this is correct, Riley got 5th place. She tied with Leah Thomas for 5th place. So I guess that's why she's got a grudge against Leah Thomas, because she didn't get 5th place because Leah also got 5th place. But like they tied for 5th place. So you still got 5th place. You know what I mean? But also, it's not like Leah Thomas was 1st place and then there was several cis women and then Riley tied with somebody. No, she tied with the trans woman who was supposedly dominating the sport. She tied with that person for 5th place. That's so funny to me. Leah lost for the same biological women as Riley did. They tied for 5th. Yeah. That's so funny to me. And I think the craziest thing is that she's been able to build a career off of this one instance of her losing. And by losing, I mean tying with Leah Thomas.
Olympians beating out American record holders, 500 freestyle. This is the day after he swam the 500 freestyle and won a national title, beat out Olympians, beating out American record holders, right? Keep in mind, these aren't scrubs. They're the most impressive.
Also, I should mention that the race Leah Thomas did win, her time was still slower than the, like, world record. Like, it wasn't like she won by a fast margin. It wasn't like she wasn't out here. What is the name of that swimmer who's, like, just fucking murdering it? Olympic what's her name? Oh god, I'm blanking on her name. Katie Ledecky. She wasn't pulling a Katie Ledecky and being so far out in front of everybody else that the camera can only be focused on her. Like, Leah Thomas won her event by not that much. 500 women's freestyle. Katie Ledecky. Figures. I should have guessed. Yeah. The time that Leah Thomas won, let me make sure it's for the right race. Yeah, she won the 500 freestyle with a time of 4:33. The world record, owned by Katie Ledecky, a cisgender woman, is 4:24, which is a full 9 seconds faster, which may not sound like a lot, but in swimming, 9 seconds is a lot. And second place was behind her by under 2 seconds, which is a decent lead, but it's not uncommon to have a lead like that. So it's like, and also this is the only one she won. I can't stress it. This is the only event Leah Thomas got first place in. It's the only one. And she didn't even break any records with victory. So if she was really dominating the field and really had this massive advantage, wouldn't she be winning more races and having faster times? Like, girlie still can't catch up to Miss Ledecky over here because Katie Ledecky is a fucking monster. Like, I can't stress enough how good of a swimmer Katie Ledecky is. But I just think it's funny that trans women can't have any victories because then they're cheating. Like, I don't... But the thing is, though, she probably, even if she hadn't won that one, they would still be crying about it.
Accomplished female swimmers this world has ever seen. And again, he beat them all by body lengths. 1 second might not sound like a lot of time, but in the sport of swimming, again, measured down to the 100th of a second, 1 second is significant. He beat the entire nation of women by almost 2 full seconds.
I don't think Katie Ledecky was swimming in that event. Actually, I don't think she was swimming in that event. Katie Ledecky, 500 free time NCAA. Was it 2021? I don't believe she was competing in that event. Because if she was, she would have gotten first place. Who else was competing? I don't think she was... Can I just have the times for this event? The 2022 NCAA Swimming Championships results. Give me all of the results. Give me them all. All of the numbers. Give me all of the numbers. Okay, let's see. Here we go. 500 freestyle. Was Katie Ledecky? I don't see her on this list anywhere. No, it does not appear Katie Ledecky was around. She wasn't even the top point scorer. I'd like to see all of the times, personally, for the events. Also, I want to point out the lead that Leah had on Emma is not that different from the lead Emma had on Erica. Like, the difference in places are about 1 second to 1.5 seconds between each place point. So the lead Leah had on Emma really wasn't that significant when you think about the lead Emma had on Erica. Like, it's just not as big of a deal as they're making it. But I do find it, I wonder why Ledecky wasn't here. I guess she wanted to allow people to, get some titles of their own.
Seconds. Even the time he went last year would have beat every girl in the country this past season by nearly 2 full seconds, making him the first man to win a Division I NCAA women's title, trailblazer. But the second day of competition, the day after this, he and I race in the 200 freestyle. So, look, we get on the blocks, dive off, swim 8 laps of freestyle, touch the ball at the end. I look up at the scoreboard, and almost impossibly enough, Joe, we had gone the exact same time, meaning, of course, we had tied, which is it's incredibly embarrassing for a 6'4" man to not even be able to beat a 5.
Okay, here's the thing. The way they contradict themselves in the same conversation about the same topic. So on one hand, Leah Thomas has this absorbent lead in the 500 and is beating out all of these women athletes, these top-of-the-line women's athletes. And then the next day, that same supposed man who is just dominating all of these women ties her for 5th place. And it's incredibly embarrassing for that man, who is not 6'4", Leah Thomas is 6'1", to tie with this tiny little woman for 5th place. So it's like, is Leah Thomas an embarrassing man who can only tie for 5th place, or is she dominating in her sport? Like, which one is it?
5, female. But again, going a minute and 40-ish seconds, and not even 1/100th separated us. you can't tell me that's not divine intervention. But tied, we get out of the water. We go, yeah, you can see here, we both went 143.40.
This high is wild.
Not
The
one of
tie
us
is
going
crazy.
143.39
Like, that's
or
so rare.
143.41.
Like, ties are incredibly rare in swimming. Like, exact ties are incredibly rare in swimming.
Tying. Get out of the water, go behind the awards podium. The NCAA official looks at both Thomas and myself. Thomas, who is towering over me, right, 6'4". And
I'm pretty sure Leah Thomas is 6'1". She's 6'1". Why does she keep saying she's 6'4"? She's 6'1", babes. And Katie Ledecky is 6 foot. Like, like, this isn't, like, women can be 6 feet tall. I don't, Katie Ledecky is literally 6 feet tall. This woman here, who I have not heard of, is also a swimmer, is taller than Leah Thomas. So I don't understand why the height fucking matters.
The official looks at both of us and says, great job, you two. But you tied, and we only have one trophy, so we're going to give the trophy to Leah. Sorry, Riley, you don't get one. My
Jesus Christ.
They give out
heart rate
for
was
fifth
still
place.
high, having just competed. My adrenaline was still pumping. And so the first thing that I thought ended up being the first thing that I said. And the first thought that I had was just what you had just said, right? Like, isn't this everything that Title IX was passed to prevent from happening?
No, Title IX has nothing to do with sports, as we've discussed. It has to do with sex-based discrimination. If anything, Title IX is in support of Leah Thomas competing against other women. So,
what do you mean you're going to give the trophy to the man in the women's 200 freestyle?
Also, why would they have? I'm not going to stand here and claim to know how they break ties and stuff like this, but I didn't realize that they gave trophies up to 5th place in the NCAA. I thought 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Maybe it's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd get medals, and then 4th and 5th get trophies. I know that's a thing sometimes. I'm not as familiar with how NCAA does their awards and whatnot, but that does seem a little weird. I would feel slighted as well if I tied for 5th place and they were like, oh, well, we only have one trophy, so we can only give it to one of you, despite the fact you both had the exact same times. I would find that a bit frustrating. Like, but I got 5th place though. Like, she did too, but I did as well. We should both get trophies for this. I don't think it's such a big deal that I'm going to make a career out of it, but because like sore loser much. But like, I would definitely feel slighted, especially in the moment. And honestly, maybe a little bit later, I'd still be a little bit bitter about it. But I feel like the NCAA could afford to just go make a second trophy and then send it to her in the mail. Like, hey, we've only got one trophy right now, so we'll give it to one of you, and you all can just like sort of share it in the photos right now, and then we'll make up another one to send to you all in the mail, or something like that. Like, that would be, that's how I would have handled it as the officiator. I'm just going to take her word on them just deciding to give it to Leah over her, like, because I only had one trophy. I'm just going to take her word for it, even though that doesn't seem like the best thing to do based on so many of the other things she's been saying being complete nonsense. But, you know, we'll give her the benefit of the doubt on this one just because I'm not certain how that stuff works. So I'll take her word on it. But I don't know.
I asked the question that no one dared ask all season. And I said, why? Which, of course, he didn't have an answer as to why. They didn't give him a script of what to say when someone asks you the dreaded question of why. And so his first excuse he came up with, he's stumbling on his words, and he's, well, we're actually just doing this in chronological order, he said. And so I said, okay, do you mean alphabetical? Because G comes before T. Otherwise, I literally have no idea what you're being chronological about, right? We tied. So again, what's your rationale here? And finally, he realized that he didn't have a
I wonder what their listings on the board, because usually they're given like numbers, I think. So maybe Leah's number was just like the number she was swimming under might have been. Maybe Penn State was just ranking a little bit higher. already, so they just gave it to the team that was ahead, like the team with higher points. I'm not sure.
He didn't have an answer for this.
Like I said, I completely agree with her that it was super unfair for Leah to get the trophy and her to not get a trophy when they tied for 5th place. Like that is completely unfair. Transness aside, it has nothing to do with her being trans. I just think that's a bit fucked up that they're like, well, we've only got 1 trophy. Like that is a little annoying. I would also feel upset. So,
So
we're not going to push back on this.
And I actually appreciate his honesty.
About who gets a trophy.
This is when his face changed. He looked sad. His voice changed. I could tell he didn't even believe what he was about to say. But this official looked at me and said, Riley.
Objection, speculation.
I am so sorry. But we have been advised as an organization that when photos are being taken, it's crucial that the trophy's in Leah's hands. Again, you can pose with this one, but you have to give yours back. Leah takes the trophy home. You go home empty-handed, end of story. We can eventually mail you one.
Oh my God.
Is what they said.
Yeah, we can eventually mail you one. Okay, so they did tell her that they were going to mail her one. And they let her hold it for the photos. See, the more words she says, the more I doubt the words she says. Does that make sense? Like, what she is saying here is that the person said, Leah's taking this one home, we'll mail you another one later. You can use the same trophy Leah is taking home for the photos, but it needs to be given back to Leah so she can take it home. Where was the event held? I wonder if maybe it was like a location-based thing. Like, I don't know where the tournament was held, but maybe Leah was just farther away. Like, maybe Penn was just further than Kentucky, so it would make more sense to mail the one to her. I don't know.
Said.
Just a bit wild. Also, you'll notice that I do believe she's the only one, Riley Gaines, I believe is really the only one who's still talking about it, like who's still whining and crying about Leah Thomas. I don't believe I've really seen any of her other teammates saying anything. I don't know who this person is.
While I am not an NCAA champion, I hold the New England Independent School League record in the 400-yard freestyle relay, a record that has stood since March of 2017. In September of 2021, Leah Thomas began participating as a member of the Penn women's team. Leah, formerly Will, had personal best time.
That's not necessary. That's so fucked up. That's so not necessary. She did not need a dead name Leah. That was not necessary. That's so fucked up, dude.
In every freestyle event that were fast. Formerly Will had personal best times in every freestyle event that were faster than the women's world records.
That's simply not true. I would like to see proof. That's not true. That's not even true. Leah doesn't hold any world records. There's no mention of world records in this entire fucking wiki article. Yeah, look. Fuck off. "27 records were broken during the championship. Leah Thomas did not break any of them. In addition to not breaking any records, she also didn't place first in her other events, finishing 5th in her 200 and 8th in her 100. It's important to note that the swimmer who finished second to Thomas only finished 1.75 seconds after her in a distance event. This is not a huge amount of time. See, yeah, okay, that's the bit that I was unsure about, was because 1.75 seconds is a decent difference in swimming, but not in a distance event. Apparently, I was thinking more of like the 100 meters, like the sprints essentially for swimming. It's important to see Thomas did not destroy her competition. It was a fairly close race. Yeah. While competing on the men's team, she was ranked highest in the 1650-yard freestyle, which she did not even swim at the NCAA championship this year, most likely because she did not qualify or because she was not ranked very high in it. She did get some of her career bests during the season, but she didn't set any fucking records. Like, I don't know how you're allowed to sit on wherever this is. I don't know where this is at. And say that she was breaking records left and right. Leah Thomas doesn't hold any world records in swimming. Like, so how is Miss Scanlon over here allowed to just stand here or sit here and just blatantly lie?
Once the season began,
while
Thomas
dead naming her also, which is
was
just
leading the country in multiple events, while only placing in the top 500 in those events on the men's team.
She's not leading the
Thomas
country in
later
any
became
events.
an NCAA champion in the 500-yard freestyle, the first NCAA champion in our women's team history program.
What? What? Hold on.
Thomas later became an NCAA champion in the 500-yard freestyle, the first NCAA champion in our women's team history program.
She was the first Penn State woman to win an NCAA championship? Doubt. State women's swimming. Numbers. Hold on, not numbers. Nope. Too many numbers. See, especially since I can't trust any of the words she's saying. She straight up sat here and said Leah Thomas was breaking world records, breaking women's records, when that's not a thing. So I can't take her word on her saying that Leah Thomas was the first Penn State women's swimmer to win an NCAA tournament. I can't take her word on it because the sentence before, she just dropped the biggest fucking lie. Hold on, women's swimming NCAA champions. It's definitely a possibility, but I doubt that there's never been a Penn State women's victory for the NCAA before Leah Thomas. I just find that hard to believe. All right, this is obviously 2024, so this is newer stuff. But I mean, it's also possible that, like, I don't know how long the women's swimming has really been a thing in NCAA. I doubt it's been around for as long as the men's stuff, just because that's generally how things work. But it's definitely possible that Leah was the first Penn State swimmer to get a women's title, but I find it hard to believe that. This is still diving. Hold on. Okay, here we go. This is 2019. So a couple years before Leah Thomas. Allie McHugh became Penn State's women's swimming and diving's first ever NCAA champion at the Nationals on Saturday in Austin, Texas. Getting first in this 1,650-yard freestyle by 5 seconds. So another sentence that's just a fucking lie. Unless she's specifically talking about the 500.
100-yard freestyle, the first NCAA.
Which maybe. Let's see if maybe that's what she means. I'm really giving this lady a lot of freeway. She got runner-up to the Katie Ledecky. 5-time Olympic gold medalist, Katie Ledecky. It's so wild, the amount of lies coming out of these people's mouths. It's so wild. Let's see, the 500-meter women's champions history. Maybe I could just get a list of the winners over the years. Penn State would be. Oh, this isn't individuals. This is teams. This is teams. I want individuals. Boo. I want individuals. Boo. Boo. Okay. Maybe Wikipedia will be helpful. Okay, here we go. Okay. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. No, we still have, this is still, teams. This is still teams. I'm looking for individuals, motherfucker. Championship records. Katie Ledecky. Yeah, this is still records, so this isn't like victories. This is like best times ever. So Kate Douglas, sorry, and then Katie Ledecky. Relays. Katie Ledecky. So it's so crazy to me that Leah Thomas is breaking all these records, and she's not even listed down for any NCAA championship records. Not even one. Wild. The way they talk about it, you would have thought she'd been out, fucking spread across this thing more than Katie Ledecky. Crazy. Nope. Well, I'm just going to assume she's full of shit because I can't find what I'm looking for.
Champion in our women's team history program.
A lot.
While many of you already know this, what you do not know is the experiences of the women on the University of Pennsylvania swim team. My teammates and I were forced to undress in the presence of Leah, a 6'4" tall.
She's not 6'4". Oh my god. Every sentence, there's a lie. Every single sentence.
Biological male, fully intact with male genitalia, 18 times per week. Some girls opted to change in bathroom stalls, and others used the family bathroom to avoid this. When we tried to voice our concerns to the athletic department, we were told that Leah's swimming and being in our locker room was a non-negotiable, and we were offered psychological services to attempt to re-educate us to become comfortable with the idea of undressing in front of a male.
I mean, yeah, where the fuck else do you want her to change? She's a woman. Where the fuck else do you want her to change? Like, I don't know if you've ever been in a locker room before, but everybody's changing. Ain't nobody looking at nobody. You know what I mean? Like, also, you're not supposed to get... I mean, maybe it's different when you're changing in and out of swimsuits, but people don't be getting butt-ass naked in the locker rooms. Maybe men are. I don't know. I've never been in a men's locker room, but in the women's locker room, people ain't getting butt-ass naked in the women's locker room. Again, this is just like gym locker rooms. This isn't... I'm not talking like swim locker rooms. It's probably different for swim locker rooms because you gotta, you know, put on swimsuits and shit. But, like... Okay. I'm inclined to not believe her since she's spilled so many lies in the, I don't know, minute and a half she's been talking.
University's response: we, the women, were the problem, not the victims. We were expected to conform, to move over, and shut up. Our feelings didn't matter. The university was gaslighting and fear-mongering women to validate the feelings and identity of a male. As an attempt to voice my concern about the situation we were forced into, revealing the unjust and unfair treatment, I wrote an op-ed for the Daily Pennsylvanian, the student-run newspaper. I approached this from a scientific, statistical perspective where I used my engineering background to...
How old do they think Leah Thomas is? She couldn't have competed as a guy for 20 years. She's only 24.
to discuss how Y chromosomes cannot be changed by any surgical procedure or systemic therapy. This biological fact lends itself to athletic advantages that cannot be mitigated by lowering testosterone levels, which are readily apparent in sports competitions and locker rooms.
It does work in swimming, though.
The Daily Pennsylvanian...
There are some sports where it doesn't make a difference. There are certainly some sports where even after transition, you still retain too much muscle mass to compete. I'm thinking specifically like bodybuilding and stuff. Usually, a lot of times, if you are a male bodybuilder and then you transition, you tend to retain a lot more muscle mass because you start with a lot more muscle mass than you would as just like any other standard athlete, like swimming and whatnot. You can absolutely lose the muscle mass necessary to be more in line with other women. Leah Thomas is a great example of this because here she is just swimming with everybody else, not getting first place like everybody the fuck else fairly frequently.
And published my article on the evening of February 10th, 2022. Only a few hours later, my piece was retracted. I was given no notice nor reasoning. Again, I was silenced for my dissenting viewpoint and felt my First Amendment rights were denied by my university.
I want to know where we are. Where is this at? Also, it should be a noted red flag that this is posted on the Heritage Foundation YouTube channel. If you don't know what the Heritage Foundation is, it is the company that is generally credited with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Due to their extensive history in putting money in the right places to move things around to get it to where Donald Trump could appoint 3 Supreme Court justices, and those 3 Supreme Court justices would overturn Roe v. Wade. It is the Heritage Foundation that is often credited for that feat. So big old red flag that this is posted on the Heritage Foundation website. Or YouTube channel, sorry.
This is representative of a greater issue, the destruction of free speech. Today, any discussion maintaining the sanctity of women's spaces is labeled transphobic, bigoted, and hateful.
My free speech is being silenced as I sit on some sort of board speaking to a group of people, probably official people. Oh, but her free speech.
What's bigoted and hateful is the discrimination against women and the efforts to erase women and our equal opportunities, dignity, and safe spaces. One might ask, why do I speak so passionately about issues that seem hypothetical, or some may perceive as...
I do hope that Leah Thomas isn't on social media. I do hope... I do hope she does not use social media, because if I was a trans woman, and especially if I was a trans woman who was also an athlete, I would not want to interact with, especially as a trans woman who is pretty decent at her sport. She's not one of the best, but she's definitely good at it. I wouldn't want to be around on the internet, especially during competition seasons.
Only impacting a small number of women. This is not hypothetical. This is real. I know women who have lost roster spots and spots on the podium. I know of women with sexual trauma who are adversely impacted by having biological males in their locker room.
Okay. Your trauma is not her fault. I'm sorry about it. Like, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Your trauma, your trauma has nothing to do with Leah Thomas. It is not her problem that you have trauma, quite frankly. I said what I said. I said what I said, okay? I have trauma too. You don't see me walking around blaming every man walking around for my trauma. Because it's not their fucking problem. It's not their fucking fault, and it's not their fucking problem. So the fact that you have trauma that is triggered by the existence of Leah Thomas is not Leah Thomas's fault, or problem, or concern, quite frankly. Like, that is not how anything works.
Without their consent.
If you don't want to change in the same locker room as Leah Thomas, find a different fucking locker room. Or change in the fucking stall, like everybody the fuck else who is uncomfortable with changing in a locker room. Yes, I'm referring to myself.
I know this because I am one of these women. I was sexually assaulted on June 3rd of 2016. I was only 16 years old. I was able to forgive my attacker, but violence against women still exists.
Okay, so what does this have to do with Leah Thomas? What does that have to do with Leah Thomas? Were you assaulted in a locker room? No? I feel like you would have mentioned that if it was relevant. So what does it have to do with Leah Thomas?
Let us not forget the viral Me Too movement that empowered female victims to speak up. It casts a spotlight on the widespread prevalence of sexual assault and abuse, including in scholarly and educational...
Is Leah Thomas assaulting people in the locker room? Because I've not heard anybody say that, so I'm going to assume it's not been happening. So I still don't understand how this is relevant to Leah Thomas.
Institutions. Individuals on this committee have previously stated violence against women is all too common. I am grateful for those members who have brought awareness to the violence against women in the past, but unfortunately, there's still much to be done. As a sexual assault survivor, many policies pushed today completely ignore my experiences and many women like me. I ask the members of this committee, please consider this issue outside the lens of political affiliations and understand the true impact of ignoring the realities of womanhood.
I still didn't hear anything about how it's relevant, but, you know, that's just me. That's just me. I still don't understand how her sexual trauma is relevant, but, you know... Because that's fucking stupid. There are okay. There are like 3 trans sports competitors. I mean, I'm not surprised that I don't see anybody pushing back in these comments because, again, it was posted by the Heritage Foundation, but, you know. I think as well that she's just allowed to say all these things and with no pushback is the thing that gets me. She's allowed to just open the first half of her speech with just lie after lie after lie after lie. And there's no one go, yeah, Leah Thomas is 6'1", not 6'4". Oh, yeah, Leah Thomas doesn't actually hold any records, by the way, even though you're out here claiming she's breaking every record. Things that would, you know, kind of discredit her a little bit. Because it would show how full of fucking shit she is. But, you know, that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. But that's enough of that. I don't want to. I'm tired of that. Let's watch something else. I want to see this. Have you heard of raw dogging? What a sentence. I mean, like a flight. Have you heard the phrase like raw dogging a flight? It's essentially the concept of not having any sort of entertainment for yourself whilst on the flight. So you're not listening to music, you're not reading a book, you're not watching a movie, you're not talking to nobody, you're just sitting there staring at the seat in front of you. The internet has dubbed that raw dogging a flight, which honestly, a fair description.
Out of the loop on the slang used by our youth today, but I am usually about 5 or 6 years behind, which I guess means I'm completely out of the loop. Anyway, the point is that I had something else in mind entirely when I heard about the new viral
Also, trigger warning, Matt Walsh.
TikTok trend that involves people, quote, raw dogging on airplanes. GQ had this headline yesterday: why men are raw dogging flights. The New York Post reported on the same
I love that sentence.
day, men are raw dogging it on flights. Here's what the weird
I wish he would keep saying it. It's so much funnier when it comes out of his mouth.
travel trend means. Now, like you, I assume that this meant some major FAA violations were happening on board.
Yeah.
I thought that the friendly skies were getting way, way too friendly, but that's not what this trend refers to. Here's the Post article, quote, raw dogging has become the buzziest travel trend of the summer, seeing stealth plane passengers forego the modern comforts of flying to stare at either the in-flight map or nothing at all during lengthy trips.
That Matt Walsh and I are going to agree on this topic, which is rare, which is why we're watching the video. For that rare instance where I'm going to agree with Matt Walsh. Because I can't think of, I can think of plenty of worse things, but I cannot support this behavior. I mean, like, it doesn't hurt anybody, but I personally could never do this. I can't even sit and stare at, like, I can't sit for 5 minutes and not be doing something else. Like, it's just such a foreign concept for me.
No music, no streaming, no snacking, no sleep. Quote, I have never seen so many people raw dogging a flight in my life, wrote Michelle, a stunned New York-based beauty influencer, in the closed caption of a TikTok clip. Literally just staring straight ahead the entire time. She added in the video featuring an aircraft full of jet setters enjoying a journey sans distractions. This was a 5-hour flight from New York City to San Francisco. So that is raw dogging a flight. That is the trend that's sweeping the nation. A trend that has attracted multiple headlines in major media publications, not to mention hundreds of TikTok videos with millions of views between them. And the videos all consist of people filming themselves not doing anything on a flight. Usually the video is set to music that is way too fast-paced and intense given the theme of the video. Like this, watch.
Get it, 17. They don't know me, son. Get it, 18.
An 11-hour flight? Like, that stresses me out, thinking about doing nothing. Literally nothing, but staring at the map for 11 hours. That sounds so awful, dude. That sounds so terrible.
So that's the trend. Sitting in a place
so
and not doing anything. Sitting and simply existing. Being a person. Being present in the space you're physically occupying. Even that we now call a trend. And worse, the trend is given an unnecessarily sexual name, so now anyone who sits on a plane and waits for it to land is, whether they like it or not, participating in something that sounds like a sex act. Now, if you're sitting on a plane, minding your own business, literally doing nothing, you might have somebody come up to you and ask if you enjoy raw dogging.
No one's going to do that, Matt. No one's gonna do that. That's not. Sorry, I just painted the funniest picture in my head. Oh, I just pictured Matt Walsh walking up to some person on a flight just not doing anything, and him asking them, "Do you enjoy raw talking?" Oh, that's funny.
A thing that might happen. And then you might say yes because you thought they were referring to this, when really they might have meant the other thing, and now you're accidentally in the middle of an inappropriate conversation you didn't mean to have. This is why I have complained so many times about the modern habit
Also, like, that's not that deep. That's not that intimate of a... I mean, it is, absolutely, but, like, if you're comfortable talking about your sex life with people, raw dogging is probably the most mild you can get in topics when you're talking about someone's sex life, because it's just referring to whether you use a condom or not. Like, that's the only difference. That's all it is. Protection, no protection. That's what raw dogging is. Like, it's not that detailed or intimate of information if you're already talking about your sex life anyways, you know.
of taking normal human activities and trendifying them.
It absolutely deserves a trend because it is absolutely unhinged behavior to spend an 11-hour flight doing literally nothing. And that includes no sleeping. It means you are conscious and awake, but you aren't reading, writing, talking, listening, eating, sleeping. You're not doing anything. You're just sitting and staring at the seat in front of you for 11 hours. That is unhinged behavior, okay? That is so beyond the normal that it deserves to be talked about. Huh?
We've made it so that there are no more normal human activities. Everything is a trend. Everything's a TikTok craze. Everything you do has some cutesy label attached to it. Every activity, every habit, every tendency, every personality trait, they all have labels. We have carved ourselves up, carved our lives up, and put each...
No. Older people raw dog all the time. Doctor's office, waiting room, in the line at the grocery store, while they drive. This isn't new. Yeah, no, Gen Z raw dogs those situations as well. But Gen Z, generally speaking, tends to be a little bit more socially conscious and aware of the world around them. So sitting with our thoughts does not tend to be as pleasant as it might be, or might have been for older generations to do, because there's a lot to think about these days. But we aren't talking about a grocery store or a doctor's office or any of that shit. Like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about flights. This is specifically a flight-based thing. But, you know. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the stream. Sorry to jump scare you with Matt Walsh first thing, but, that's where we're at.
Piece into a little box and a little drawer with its own little label. It's the hyper-classification of human existence. And this is a problem that started with the medical field and the psychologists, but has bled its way down into social media. I hate it. Everybody needs to stop it. Now, as for this trend, it will not surprise you to learn that this is often what I do on flights. Unless I have work to do, I will just sit on the plane. I don't call it raw dogging, okay? I don't use that term. I've already used that term in this monologue like 5 times more than I ever thought I.
Oh, I love it when there are news stories big enough for people like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro to have to cover them. Because then we get gold of like Matt Walsh talking about raw dogging and using the term raw dogging over and over and over on his platform, or Ben Shapiro reading the lyrics to WAP, and it's just delicious content.
I'd use it in my life, especially in a monologue, but whatever you want to call it, I am an avid proponent of finding opportunities to do nothing. And I mean really nothing, real nothing.
It doesn't surprise me even a little bit that Matt Walsh raw dogs airplanes. It does not surprise me at all.
Something that amounts to nothing, like mindlessly scrolling your phone. We all do that kind of nothing all the time. That's worse than nothing, okay? It's nothing with none of the benefits of nothing. But actually doing nothing means sitting in one place and not actively looking for distraction or stimulation. Mm-hmm. In modern society, we spend pretty much every waking second of our days actively seeking distraction and stimulation.
I certainly do.
We desperately try to distract ourselves all the time, and then we wonder why we're distracted. It must be a disease. We must have ADHD. Quick, take a pill. That'll solve it.
Those are different things, babe. Those are different things. Looking for distractions and being distracted are not, that's not the same thing. They are not the same. They aren't referring to the same kind of distraction. That's not what that is, but, that's okay. His tiny little brain can't handle those kinds of complexities, but that's okay.
And we take this for granted because, it's the way that everybody operates. Like, when's the last time you were sitting in a waiting room or standing in a line at the grocery store and everybody else in the line was just waiting there without staring at their phones? When's the last time you yourself waited anywhere without staring at your phone? Most of us are so...
I was diagnosed with when I was 4.
Desperate to be distracted that we even look for other things to distract us while we're piloting a 3,000-pound hunk of metal down the road at 70 miles an hour. It's how we're wired, or it's rather, I should say, it's how...
Yeah, it is. It actually is how we're wired. Like, our brains actively want stimulation at all times. Like, even outside of like a generational thing, like that's just how brains work. Our brains are always on. So our brains are always looking for something to do. So it makes sense that if we have the ability to stand in line and look at our phones, we're going to do that. If we don't have a phone to stare at, we'll just stand in line and stare and people watch and whatnot, which is still something. People watching is still something. So like that's why like sitting in a doctor's office or standing in a line somewhere it's not considered raw dogging it, because there's still something to look at and take in. When you're on a flight, there is nothing else to do. There's not really a lot of people watching you can do either, because most planes are pretty small, so there's not a lot of people around to watch. And plus, those people are sitting in a small little space, doing also nothing. There's no extra stimulation. When you're at a grocery store checkout line, there's loads of shit going on. There's people checking out up in front of you. There's people standing in line behind you. There's people walking around shopping over there. There's a kid screaming and crying over there. There's a self-checkout a few like 10, 15 feet away. Like, there's tons of stuff to be looking at in a grocery store checkout line. On a plane, the best you're going to get is watching the movie that the person sitting next to you is watching with no sound. Like, that's the closest you're going to get. Which is why it became a trend to do it on flights. Because if there's ever been a place where you need to bring your own stimulation, it's a fucking plane. That's the reason. Flights are so boring.
How we have been rewired. Because it may come as a shock, but prior to the advent of cell phones and computers, people would spend significant portions of their day with nothing in particular to distract them. They would wait in lines and just wait. They would sit in waiting rooms and just sit there.
Yep.
Here's the thing that will really blow you away.
Me too, actually.
Especially if you're a younger person who's only ever known the cell phone age. You're not going to believe this, but this is real. Sometimes, back in the old days, a person would even sit on the couch in their living room and just sit there. Like they would partake merely in the activity of existence. Here's another mind-bending fact. Back in the old days...
See, yeah, people do that now too, Matt. Like, I don't know if you've ever talked to anyone in Gen Z before, because I know you'd like to talk about Gen Z a lot, but I don't know if you've ever even talked to one of us about anything. But there's this thing called rotting that Gen Z does. It is a depression thing generally, but you can do it and not be depressed as well, where you just lay on your bed and stare at the ceiling. You don't listen to music, you don't read, you don't scroll on your phone, you're just laying there, rotting. It's like a whole thing. Generally, it's a depression thing, though, because you should probably get up and do something, because there's always something to do, you know what I mean? People don't tend to enjoy just sitting and staring at the wall these days, because that sounds boring as fuck. You could do anything else. But also, reading has always been popular. I would imagine book reading was more popular back before cell phones and stuff, because you couldn't just pull out your phone and read 100,000 word fan fiction on your phone like you can these days. So I would imagine books and stuff were probably more popular back then, like physical copies of books. Obviously, reading books is obviously still popular, but I mean like going to a library, picking up a physical book, going home, sitting on your couch, and reading a book. Like, you know.
When a person woke up in the morning, they would not immediately reach for something to distract them.
I mean, yeah, there are plenty of people who do that now. I am not one of those people. The first thing I do is reach for my phone. Although I do sometimes just lay there for a minute before reaching for my phone. But the first thing I do is usually reach for my phone.
They would just wake up. That's it. They would just wake up. Now you're awake now. They would situate themselves into the waking world again. They would be where they are.
For coffee,
they would not try to dive headfirst immediately into a million places where they aren't. This is how it used to be.
Yeah. Things used to be simpler, that's for sure. But I wouldn't necessarily say things used to be better either. All right. That's enough of that.
So over the weekend, there was a Pride parade.
He's himself now. But now we're going to watch, it's a Pride Month video, so it's a little bit outdated. But it is this year's Pride Month, so it's not that outdated. We're gonna watch Mr. Benjamin over here. We're gonna see what Betty Boy has to say about Pride Month.
A parade in which people engaged in pride with regard to what has traditionally been considered sexual sin, and they were confronted by pro-Hamas.
I love him so much.
Pride parade, a parade in which people engaged in pride with regard to what has traditionally been considered sexual sin. And they were confronted by pro-Hamas protesters, which is fun. I will say I enjoyed this video. I enjoyed this video because who's more victimized?
Confronted by?
Bevies of gay people who are walking through Philadelphia not being victimized, or the bevies of pro-Hamas supporters who are literally out there standing on behalf of a terror group and are now holding up the gays. This is some wonderful. It's a victim off in Philadelphia. Here we go. Up, we got some gay people beating on drums. We got some keffiyeh wearing pro-Hamas protesters who are holding up. Yeah, we got. I love the gay people in the keffiyehs. That's one of my favorites. Like the bare midriff trans people in keffiyehs who are holding up the other gay people as they march.
So they're supporting each other. Okay, the way he's framed it, I thought they were clashing. But no, the pro-Palestine protesters were joining in with the Pride parade. they're together. They're not competing. Okay. That makes more sense. I was a little confused because I was like, why would the pro-Palestinians be anti-pride? That's not generally how that goes. But, okay, he was just, okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
Wow. A war of all against all involving bondage gear. Slow clap for the modern base of the Democratic Party. Well done, guys. This is how you win elections.
Clap, Ben. That's just a normal clap. That's just a regular clap.
Right here. The good news is that Pride Month has now infused all of our major institutions. Remember, it's Republicans who are threats to the institutions. Like children's TV, where it is imperative that our children's television promote.
I don't know that Palestine does, but I couldn't say for sure. These aren't Palestinians that are there. This are people who are pro-Palestine who are there. Like these are the movements of like pro-Palestinian movements in support of Palestine and against Israel's genocide on the Palestinians are historically in support of queer people. Queer people are also historically in support of pro-Palestinians. It's kind of a we're not free till we're all free type situation, essentially. I'm not certain on the rules and stuff in Palestine, considering, right now it doesn't really matter because who the fuck cares if you're gay in Palestine right now? We're just trying not to die. What's she? There's a legal divide between the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, I figured. In the West Bank in 1950, same-sex acts were decriminalized. Under Hamas, however, it is still illegal, question mark? That's what it appears to be saying. It's the 30s. Okay. In the state of Palestine, there is no specific standalone civil rights legislation that protects LGBT people from discrimination or harassment. In 2019, the Palestinian Authority announced that LGBT groups were forbidden to meet in the West Bank on the grounds that they are, quote, harmful to the higher values and ideals of Palestinian society. So, no. I knew it's not like a LGBT favorable area, obviously. It's not in Israel either, to be fair, but I don't believe it's illegal in Israel, but it's not exactly encouraged. But that's not really the point. The point right now is, honestly, who cares if you're gay? We're just trying to not get genocided at this point. So that's why I was confused when he was like, because when he says pro-Hamas, he's talking about pro-Palestinian protesters. He's not talking about people who support Hamas. He's talking about people who support Palestine. But to Ben, Palestinians are not people. So,
Homosexual activities, lifestyles, transgenderism, and gender fluidity. It is very, very important, which is what Sesame Street did over the weekend. Sesame Street tweeted out the rainbow flag, but using like the furry tails of its various Sesame Street characters.
It's just fur, Ben.
Happy Pride Month from Sesame Street. Today and every day, we celebrate and uplift the LGBTQIA plus minus divided by sign members of our community. Together, let's build a world where every person and family feels loved and welcome for who they are.
Sesame Street has always been a G. Sesame Street has been pro the gays for quite a long time.
You hear that? Sesame Street is a television show directed at 2-year-olds. Don't worry, folks. They're not coming for your kids. They're just totally coming for your kids on the radical.
Yeah. Very much so, yeah.
Left. Meanwhile, Miss Rachel, who's, I am told, a very popular YouTube personality for the Childers, she was also celebrating Pride Month. Miss Rachel.
Miss Rachel,
so,
the icon.
perhaps you should not leave her alone with your littles because, again, Perhaps you wish to teach your kids actual traditional mores.
Right? That's literally the whole message around Sesame Street is love your neighbor. That's literally the whole point.
Happy Pride to all of our wonderful families and friends. This month and every month I celebrate you. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're exactly who you are. To those who are going to comment they can't watch the show anymore because of the support, no worries and much love your way. God bless. I am not chasing fame or views. I'm standing strong in love.
You are a little. No, you actually are chasing fame and views, which is why you are a famous viewed person on the YouTubes. Okay, so on the social side, you have a Biden administration that is helping promote social fragmentation. On the economic side,
Jesus loved the gays, okay? Jesus loved the gays. Genuinely. Like, that's not even a meme. Like, he really did. Jesus loved the gays.
People not being able to eat in restaurants because the costs have doubled over the course of the last 3.5 years. On the international side, how bad is Joe Biden as president? He is so bad that...
Miss Rachel is awesome also. When Ben Shapiro says traditional morals, I believe, for the most part, he's talking about traditional Christian morals, which means wouldn't those morals mean not liking Ben Shapiro because he is Jewish? Yes. Jesus hates figs. It's canon.
OPEC is basically now attempting to push against his reelection.
He did wither a fig tree. He did do that. He did. He got pissed off and he said, fuck that tree. And the tree went,
That's how bad he is. For all of Joe Biden's attempts to save Hamas, it turns out, you know who actually doesn't want to save Hamas in the Middle East? The Saudis. The great irony of the situation in the Middle East right now is presumably most of the non-Iranian-backed regimes in the Middle East desperately hope that Israel wipes Hamas off the map and establishes some sense of security over the Gaza Strip and also in the north against Hezbollah. That certainly includes the Saudis, who have been signaling all along they do not give two craps about a Palestinian state and, in fact, actively oppose it. They know a Palestinian state will be an Iranian proxy terror group. They know that because it is. Because according to current polling data from the Palestinian Center for Policy and Survey Research, fully 71% of all Palestinians support October 7th. So the Saudis and the rest of OPEC, they're like, you know what? We don't need a Palestinian state. And you know who's pushing that really hard? Joe Biden and his morons in the State Department. So on Sunday, OPEC agreed to extend production curbs into next year. You'll recall that in 2022, in the run-up to the midterm election, you just can't say so out loud. It's Joe Biden who's pushing it. So OPEC is looking at Joe Biden's policy in the Middle East, around 2.2 million barrels per day. The minister is now seeking to assuage. Meanwhile, Joe Biden decided to name in the Obama White House was Hamas. All of them have one priority and one priority only. It is not getting rid of Hamas. It is getting rid of Benjamin Netanyahu. They see Benjamin Netanyahu
because he's the worst.
As the obstacle to their world-beating two-state solution plans. There's only one problem. The Israeli public is not willing to grant a state to terrorists because that would be the stupidest thing you could possibly do. But it doesn't matter. Joe Biden, over the weekend, played what is one of the most cynical and, frankly, disgusting games that he's played in this entire war so far. It's not the stupidest thing he's done. The stupidest thing he did was to build a completely useless pier that then broke apart and fell into the water after resupplying Hamas with truckloads of aid. That was the dumbest thing that Joe Biden has done during this war, which is pretty dumb. But one of the most nefarious things that he's done, other than threatening to cut off Israeli aid as they seek to finish off Hamas in Rafah, happened on Friday. So Joe Biden came out and he said that he was presenting a plan. He was presenting a plan. It was supposedly Israel's plan, according to Joe Biden. Now, as we will find out, that's a lie. This was not Israel's plan. So he presented what he called a three-phase proposal. Phase one of the plan between Israel and Hamas would be a complete ceasefire, a withdrawal of Israeli forces from the populated areas of Gaza, release of some hostages and some remains of hostages, Palestinian civilians returning to their homes in Gaza. Now, of course, the problem there is that if you allow everybody to move where they want to move, that means terrorists too, and a surge in humanitarian aid. That'd be phase one, which is bad enough. Phase two would be a permanent end to all hostilities,
He only made a few gay videos,
including in exchange for the release of the remaining living hostages and a full Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, which means...
This is not about the gays, Ben. I wanted to talk about the gays, not about the Israelis and how awful Benjamin Netanyahu is. That's not what I wanted to talk about. Bye. Have fun. Hope it goes well. And depending on how long it is, I might still be live. I'll only probably be live another hour though, so feel free to come back if I'm still on. Probably a little less than an hour, to be honest, because I gotta be somewhere at around 6. So we'll probably hop off a few minutes before 6 because the place I have to be is literally 4 minutes away from my apartment. So not far.
Joe Biden is losing this election right now. If you look at his poll numbers, they just stink. He's running about even with Donald Trump in most of the national polling, but he's running. Start with this one. There was a poll recently from Pew that looked at differences between Democrats and Republicans, between Biden supporters and Trump supporters on sort of key issues of the day. And so it looked at their feelings about abortion, looked at their feelings about foreign policy. But there was one question in particular that really goes to the heart of the future of the country. And it's really a problem. Victim. And this has bled up into the cultural sphere. Apparently, there's a person named Chapel Roan. I've never heard of her. Apparently, she is some sort of singer. And she was going to...
I don't know why he introduces people like that. I've never heard of her. Apparently, she's some kind of singer. You could just say she's an up-and-coming artist that I hadn't heard of before. Like, I don't know. She's some sort of singer. That'd be like saying Ben Shapiro is some sort of bitch. Like, it's like, no, you just are a bitch. That's just what you are.
Sing, I guess, for Pride Month because it is the holiest month of the year in the United States.
Fucking facts. Fucking preach it. Fucking preach, Ben. Some sort of singer, some kind of person, I don't know, something. Yeah.
One in full green Statue of Liberty body paint started a set on Sunday by addressing her audience and suggesting that she would not be going to the White House.
As a response to the White House, who asked me to perform for Pride. We want liberty, justice, and freedom for all. When you do that, that's when I'll come.
The icon.
Okay, and made an overt appeal with regard to Gaza. And this is why, again, the Biden administration having such trouble with moderates, having such trouble, and they're going to continue to cobble together the...
I can't remember what the full speech was, but it was longer than that.
Coalition of people who believe that they are victims and who are not building institutions, who are not building families, who are not building the intermediate institutions of society that make society function. That is the message of the Biden administration, is that you're a bunch of victim groups. American society is victimized. You vote for Joe Biden. Does that sound like a winning message to you? It doesn't sound very much like a winning message to me.
Part of the problem with Democrats in general is their messaging is never a winning message. That's part of the problem. That's like the one thing I can commend Republicans are, because at least they know their fan base. They know who they're talking to, and they know how to get those people activated. And the Democrats historically struggle with that, and are historically really fucking bad at that. Because their messaging is just trash. It's not very good. They make promises that they don't keep, and Democrats aren't stupid enough to continue falling for the same shit over and over again the way Republicans are. It's funny how Ben Shapiro says they are a coalition of people who believe they are victims, while he goes around saying Republicans are victims far right enough child trafficking comes. Yeah.
Which is why they're going to rely on their second message. As I say, they've had a couple of messages since 2012. Message number one is that there are a bunch of victimized groups in American society, and that bunch of victimized groups must vote for Democrats in order to overcome. And the second message is Donald Trump. We'll get to that one in just one moment. First, with all the focus on our broken justice system and judges abusing their roles, there's one judge who will never abuse his role. Of course, I'm talking about Judge Matt Walsh. The final episode of Judged by Matt Walsh, Season 1, is now streaming exclusively.
Well, that wasn't very much. Boo. Give me more gay things. I'm disliking
Joe Biden, his campaign is flailing. It doesn't matter that his political opponent was just convicted of 34 felonies in New York. It turns out the last few polls.
Christian, have you listened to Baby Metal? I feel like you're more likely to have listened to it than Jimmy, because it's not really... I don't know if you listen to metal music at all, but you seem more likely to than Jimmy would be.
Have him running even with Joe Biden. In fact, here are the last few polls. Brand new morning consult poll, all taken in the aftermath of the conviction. Trump's up 1.
You listen to metal?
In that poll,
have you listened to Baby Metal? The band. They're a band. It's not a type of metal. It's the band name is Baby Metal. I will send you the link to the song. I can't play it now because we're at the point where I'm VODing, so I'm not going to play it again so that it'll just get but I can't get the song I sent you. I can't get it out of my head. I played it at the start of the stream before I started VODing the stream. Love it.
Just a few days ago, he was down by 1. That is not because Trump gained support. It's because Biden lost support. Forbes, Harris X, has Trump up 2 on Joe Biden. Reuters Ipsos has Trump down 2 to Biden, but Biden's only at 41. Time for more pandering. And apparently, they are going to really stump to get out the vote from gay voters. This is going to be their big thing. According to NBC News, the campaign plans to have a presence this month and more than 200 pride events.
The song I sent you is slightly different vibes than what Baby Metal generally puts out. Like, it's a little bit, there's a bit more English in the video I sent you than there is in most of Baby Metal's stuff. Most of Baby Metal's stuff is more Japanese? Hold on. I think it's Japanese. Yeah, Japanese. Okay, I was just making sure. It's more Japanese than it is English in their normal music, but in their little collab here with Electric Callboy, there's a little bit more English than Japanese, because Electric Callboy is English, is like English speaking. I mean, so yeah. It's very. A lot of their music is very anime, and I think that's just because it's in Japanese, so it's probably a little bit racist for me to say it. But I don't necessarily mean the language. I mean the music itself feels like something I would hear in an anime, especially in like an anime opener. Like the metal music in the background feels very anime, excluding the lyrics, which is really cool. And of course, it doesn't help the situation that they are speaking Japanese, so that it does feel like anime because there's Japanese lyrics, even though I don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. Oh, also, do you want to see the Almighty, the one true God? Look how big he is. I do wish my camera would focus. What do we? Look at him. He's gigantic. He's massive. I love him. He is the Almighty God. I wish he was a slightly different color palette. But I do like this one. It's nice because like the light green parts on like the tips are a little bit dirty, but not like. But it's hard to tell if it's the figure that's dirty, or if it's on purpose. And I have a feeling it's on purpose because I don't think it's like because like when you wipe at it, it doesn't come off. So I think it's like a purposeful dirty, which is like appropriate, of course. And it's really done well. I really love it. I love him. He is the one true God. Honestly, if Cthulhu were real, I would pray to him, genuinely. Like, that's not even a joke. Like, I'm fully serious. Yes.
Events in 23 states, including all the battleground states, and to launch a paid media blitz aimed at mobilizing LGBTQ+ minus divided by sign voters. 2 campaign officials said in details first shared with NBC News. Yes, that's right. They're going to do voter outreach at the parades. Some of Biden's allies worry about waning support among LGBTQ+ minus divided by sign voters.
I actually don't care.
A poll conducted in January by the LGBTQ+ minus. No, your president and my entire administration have your back. We see you for who you are, made in the image of God and deserving of dignity, respect, and support. Again, there's nothing more insulting than Joe Biden citing the book of Genesis for the idea that boys are born in girls' bodies. He literally doesn't finish the exact same verse. Made in the image of God comes from the book of Genesis. The ending of that verse is God made man in his image. In man's image, God made him. Male and female, he made them. That's literally the end of the verse. But Joe Biden didn't give a crap about the Bible. In fact, the Bible is only useful when he can pretend to be a Christian. Well,
that's not anti-trans to say that. It'd be a bit anti-non-binary, but like male and female are sex words, not man and woman. He said male and female. He didn't say man and woman, right? Everybody does voter outreach. It's literally the point. But I actually really don't care about this. I don't really want to watch that video anymore. So we're going to watch Bumble Does Not
Welcome back to the
Women
comment section. I'm Fred Cooper. Obviously, guys, I am not in my normal studio. I'm working out of Los Angeles this week, so we got a fantastic location with an amazing view so that you guys can enjoy the California sunshine as well. We will be here all week. I'm doing a bunch of videos. We have a fun thing coming out of Daily Wire this week, so get ready for that. But anyway, enjoy comment section on the road.
You know, we don't stop.
We don't stop for anything.
Okay, so there is a big update in the dating app space. Bumble, the dating app, has undergone a rebrand. They wiped their whole Instagram like a celebrity about to drop an album. They started posting completely new branded teasers and memes. They said that they were revolutionizing dating. And of course, people around the world cheered because they are just sick and tired of the modern dating landscape and these dumb apps. And then they saw the actual update. And it is the most ridiculous, lame, feminist nonsense that I have ever seen. Before we get into it, though, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the comment section YouTube channel. Individuals that has never had to be on a dating app. Bumble is very similar to Hinge and Tinder, where you swipe through people and you get matches. But unlike Hinge and Tinder, on Bumble, women have to make the first move and message first if you get a match. And the whole thing was designed to empower women and put them in the driver's seat of their dating experience. No more, sexual first messages, unsolicited dick pics, all of that stuff. The ladies are in control. But then, as it happens, the ladies got tired of being in control.
She said that as if it was a bad thing, but it's Brett Cooper, so what do we expect?
They didn't want that. They got tired of making the first move. It was annoying. There was just too much pressure, even though they had been begging for it for years. So Bumble is trying to change that with their rebrand. Here's an article from Fortune about it, and the title is just chef's kiss. Bumble relaunches app with a new tool to relieve the burden of women making the first move. And it's just so ironic, I cannot even tell you, because the reason why Bumble was created and blew up was because of how empowering and freeing it was for women. It's like, finally, this is our dating app. We get something. It's so dumb. Like, it took off during peak Hillary Clinton feminism. Sheryl Sandberg saying lean in. Girl bossing was everywhere. Like, this was the era of Bumble. But come 2024, as we have discussed, women are tired. They have entered their soft girl era. They're giving up. They don't want to do it anymore. They want to quit their jobs and be stay-home girlfriends. They have realized the error of their ways. They're angry at Susan B. Anthony.
We had a good thing, you stupid son of a bitch. It was perfect. But no, you just had to blow it up.
I mean, 2016 era feminism is basically as outdated as traditional killing.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. She's going to get into to what the I'm going to let her tell us what the Bumble change was. But the framing of the change is certainly not good. The whole, like, the burden of blah, 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 blah. Like, the whole, like, framing of it isn't great. But I think the change that they made is actually really good. I think it's really smart. And so, yeah. So I think it's a good change, personally. I think it makes a lot of sense, the change that they made, but I'm going to let her tell us what the change is.
Which is why you guys need Rough Greens. Rough Greens knows that is so dog. After years of telling men that making the first move is harassment and threatening them with the Me Too movement, they've decided that actually, maybe they were wrong, and maybe
that's
men...
That's not a thing, Brett. That's not a thing. Because when men make the first move, historically, when you have, let's say you're a woman, right? Brett, you don't have to imagine, but for the rest of us, we have to imagine. Imagine you are a woman on a dating app. And you're a woman dating men, specifically, on a dating app. You're going to get a lot of swipes, especially if you're an attractive woman, right? You're going to get a lot of matches. You're going to get a lot of men reaching out to you because you're hot and they want to attempt to date and or fuck you. So you're getting a lot of matches. And so you sit and you swipe and you swipe and you swipe and you swipe, and then the people that you match with are able to message you. And the men that message you back are free to send you whatever they want. And if you know men in any capacity, men are gross, especially men on dating apps. And so you get a lot of unsolicited dick pics. You get a lot of, hey, send me pics messages. You get a lot of, hey, what's your Snapchat? Hey, wanna fuck? Hey, let's do sex. Hey, I'm really gross. Show me a picture of your feet type messages. A lot. Like probably 60% of the time, 60 to 70% of the time. I'm pulling that number, not fully out of my ass. I'm pulling that number from the women who I've spoken to who are on dating apps. And women were so fucking tired of that shit. So Bumble saw a chance to corner the market, and they made an app where only the woman gets to message first. You have to match, and then the woman has to reach out, and then you, as the man, can respond. Great. It really let Bumble pop off, and then they introduced Bumble BFF, which popped them off even further, and that's really great. But what happened was women, historically, get a lot more matches than men do on dating apps. That's a fact, that's a stat, you can go look it up, it's a thing. So women would end up with 20, 30 matches, and you're trying to juggle 20 to 30 people, and if you have to come up with the opener for every single fucking one, that gets really exhausting. 20, 30 people all at one time is a lot of people, all right? Now, men don't get as many matches, so it's a bit easier for them to juggle 4 or 5 people that they are speaking to at one time. Of course, the 4 and 5 is a little bit more of a guesstimate on my part. I don't really talk to men all that much, so especially not about their dating lives, because it's usually not fun for me. But if you've ever been a man on a dating app, you will know that you don't get as many matches as you might have if you were a woman. In my experience, back when I was a woman, I definitely got a lot more matches than I do now that I am a guy. So it's a bit easier for men to do the reaching out because they don't have as many people to reach out to. So Bumble saw that women were a little bit frustrated with the way that things were, and women wanted a little bit of a change. They still liked kind of being in charge of it, but they wanted a change. So Bumble saw that and they made a change.
Taking the first move and having initiative is a good thing. So I'm sorry, man. I know the whiplash is terrible. Women are dumb. We can all understand that. But anyway, back to Bumble. Here is how they launched this incredible, awe-inspiring rebrand. She's joining a convent. That's what she's doing, which a lot of women threaten to do in the modern landscape.
Grindr gets crazy for rides. I'll have to take your word for it. I have no use for Grindr, so.
We've changed so that you don't have to. So basically they're saying, you don't need to swear off dating. We're here to help you. We fixed it all. We've revolutionized it. You don't need to go join a convent and lust over men in the garden next door. Bumble is here to fix it. And the one thing I will say is that all...
That's great. What she just summarized is actually great. Like, that's a great messaging system. Like, that's a good ad. Oh, how many unsolicited pics I got on there? Yeah.
Of the marketing of the creative is so sick. Like the post that they put up on their Instagram, the fonts are cool, the imagery is cool. Like people were genuinely very excited, and I thought that it might be something that was actually revolutionizing dating. But to be honest, the creative was too good because it made us think the Bumble was actually doing something interesting. But no, they revolutionized nothing. Again, lamest thing I've ever seen. Like in the app, they sort of changed up the font. Literally, that was part of their big rebrand. But what they actually did was, instead of having women message first, the app itself will be offering automatic prompts that will be sent to men after you get a match. And then the men have to be creative and send a response. And then if the woman likes the response, then she can unlock the conversation and keep the match going.
I'm skeptical that you could, yet intrigued that you may.
And if it's confusing, I know, you are not alone. Here is how that Fortune article described it. Announced this morning,
It's not confusing or complicated.
Has launched a new version of the app. In this iteration of Bumble, women are able to pre-select opening moves that they can send to every match. And this opening move is a scripted, pre-programmed, ready to go. It's the lazy way out. You can just be like, yeah, I'll send a message. Boom. You don't have to do any thinking, any creativity. It is not tailored to your match whatsoever. And
She's describing it as if it's a negative thing. Basically, what they've done is they rolled out essentially another filtering system for the most part. So like I've not done it yet, so I'm not going based off of experience. I'm going based off of the descriptions I have read of this feature. So we're pretending we're a woman on Bumble again. Okay, you're a woman on Bumble. You can go in and you can select several different pre-selected prompts that you can have automatically sent out to any of your matches. I believe it only allows word responses to the prompt, and then you can use whatever the guy says to that prompt as a way to sort of decide whether or not you want to actually message them back. So it's essentially just it still kind of allows the man to be the first one to sort of not necessarily reach out, but the first one to initiate conversation. But it also gives a more of a narrow option for what they can talk about. So it's a good way to sort of filter out the guys who just want to fuck you, because if they respond to the prompt with a send me your Snapchat or message me elsewhere or blah, 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 you know not to fucking waste your time. But if he actually engages with the prompt and gives you an answer to the prompt that you think is interesting and kind of sparks your interest, then it allows you to sort of gauge more about that person before really having to interact with that person beyond just their profile. It actually makes a lot of sense, and the fact that people are framing it as if it's stupid and dumb is kind of confusing to me. Yeah, and it automatically does the opener, so the woman doesn't have to go in and click, hey, send this opener, hey, send this opener. It kind of speeds up the process and it gives women another data point to use when screening the guys that they're talking to. Yeah.
Add a question like, what's your Roman Empire? TikTok shorthand for something you're obsessed with. We have an episode about that. You can go watch it. We'll link it below. Relieve some pressure in the moment of the match. Because remember, this is a burden for women to send.
That's a great opener. What is your Roman Empire? That is a fantastic opener. That is so good. That's a fantastic opener, dude.
2 sentences to meet a man. Users can choose one of Bumble's questions or write their own. Previously, women would send the first message
or you can write your own. Bumble will just create some for you, so if you're not great at figuring out opening questions, Bumble's like, oh, well, here's some that we figured out for you, but you can also set your own opening questions. So if you have an opening thing that you find really important, you can set that as your opener. That makes plenty of fucking sense to me. I don't know what's so
Men would have 24 hours to respond before the match expired. Now, men are able to respond to the opening prompt, and then women have 24 hours to choose whether to continue, giving women more information about their match before completely unlocking the conversation. So basically, Bumble didn't want to lose their 2014 feminist shtick and become like Hinge or Tinder, where either party can message first. So instead, they're having men put in all of the effort and creativity, but still letting women think that they're in the driver's seat because they get to decide afterwards if the man's response is good enough, funny enough, clever enough, whatever. Like I said at the beginning, it is feminist nonsense. They want to have their cake and eat it too. It is such a burden to send the first message, and we're going to have it be automatic, but we still get to decide. We're in control. We are the women. It's absurd. Billy Ray Brandt, who is in Lady Ballers, who you should all be following for dating content, she posted this on X, and she just summed it up well. She said, this Bumble rebrand
Being in Lady Ballers is not exactly a badge I would want to wear, but
a mess. Their promo video ends with, we've changed so you don't have to. So they've gone from the app made by a woman wanting to empower and protect women by giving them more control to an app that is just like every other app, LOL. Some rebrand.
How is it? You just talked about how it basically isn't a change because they want to stick with their 2014 shtick, but now you're talking about how it's a fucking rebrand? It's not a rebrand. They just added an extra step to make things a little bit easier. The women are still in control, so it's still Bumble. They didn't do away with the women's ability to, decide who she does and doesn't want to engage with. They just made it a little bit easier.
Essentially admitting that women don't want any responsibility when it comes to early dating. They just want to be chased by men who take ownership, the lead, even at the expense of potentially unwanted attention. In other words, the way it's always been.
I'd have to ask Zoe about it, because I know Zoe uses Bumble sometimes. I know she uses Bumble BFF, but I don't know if she uses Bumble for dating purposes. So I'd have to ask her. But if she does use it for dating purposes, then she would have interacted with this directly. So I'd be interested to hear from her what she has to say, if she has anything to say on it.
Can you believe that we are going back to traditional gender roles? All the comments have been fantastic. Nobody is excited about that.
I've been thinking about downloading Bumble lately. I don't know why. I go in and out of, do I want to try dating again? And then I'm like, no, that sounds like a lot of work. And then I'm like, but it would be kind of nice. But also that sounds like a lot of work. I go back and forth. It's
Just take a gander through their Instagram. People are pissed. But one person on Reddit said, will forever be funny to me that Bumble, a feminist dating app created by a feminist woman and whose main selling point was allowing women to take control of their messages by allowing them to be the one who initiates, had to abandon that because they realized that women don't actually want to be in control and don't actually want to put in the time to initiate messages. They'd much rather sit back and collect messages. Now there is literally no difference between Bumble and the dozen of other apps. Like, this is just
saying there's no difference is incorrect. The woman is kind of still, like, by setting, I assume you can choose to not set an opener if you don't want to. I would imagine that would make sense to me. So you can set an opener if you want, and that counts as the woman making the first move, because if she doesn't set an opener, then she makes up her own first message and sends it out herself. But if she sets an opener, then it auto-sends to the guy. He's got 24 hours to respond, and then based on his response, she has 24 hours to still make the decision. She's still the deciding factor on if the conversation continues beyond that opener. Like, he can't send any additional messages outside of the one response to the opener. So it's still on the woman to decide whether or not she wants to engage. How does it make Bumble just like everything else? But also, it's still the Bumble of 2014. Like, it can't be both things.
On, except now it has this extra step so the feminists can still pat themselves on the back because they're in control and they get to decide whether they will continue the match, continue the conversation.
It's awful.
Another person on Reddit said, Bumble, quote, we've made it not only necessary but acceptable for women to make the first move, shaking up outdated gender norms. These are literally things from their website. To challenge outdated heterosexual norms, women make the first move on Bumble, and then women. Making the first move was a lot of work or a burden. Bumble, okay, we're going to be outdated and patriarchal now. We're Tinder. Like, it makes no sense. Another person said, so women got a tiny taste of what it's like to be a man and have to initiate all the time, and they said, nope, not happening, got it. Like, they literally lasted 10 years. 10 years, and they were like, nope, that is how short third way feminism has been.
It's kind of funny though, because it sounds like these openers are very similar to, so on Facebook dating, you have little prompts that you can answer that then are, like, show up as little bubbles in your profile. And they're kind of along the same lines of what it sounds like these openers are, of like, oh, what's your favorite band? Or if you could choose any job, what would you choose? If you could live anywhere, where would it be? If you know, things along those lines. And that kind of just sounds like what the openers are. It's basically stuff that they could put in the profile, but but the format is messaging instead of just a profile. Right.
We have all moved on. Somebody replied to that and said, apparently even just saying hey is too much effort for them. Like, ladies, this is such a bad look. It is so embarrassing. Feminism is embarrassing. It's laughable. It is literally laughable what Bumble has done. I genuinely have no words. But also, it's kind of unsurprising.
She has no words, but this video is almost 10 minutes long.
They are reverting to traditional norms, as we always do, but they can't say that, of course. They have to pretend like this is revolutionary so that they can keep going with their feminist nonsense. Like, if you actually wanted to rebrand and make the app better, you should let people on the app filter things like religion and politics for free, because according to your comment section, that is the number1 thing that people want. Apparently, there are multiple pay levels, and you have to pay a premium every month if you even want to see what somebody's religion
You can see it on the screen. Brett Cooper.
Is and filter based on that, which is absurd. Somebody commented and said, but still no way to filter by religion, politics, education, if they have the same relationship goals as you, or if they want kids, arguably the most important qualities when dating. Yes. So I'm swiping left on a ton of guys who meet none of my non-negotiables. And somebody else commented and said, it is so dumb. Like, even when you are premium, they lock certain aspects and you have to pay even more. It is all BS, and the algorithm hides people that are actually compatible. Like, right now, allegedly the only free option is that on your profile you can choose your social causes, like BLM, literally. The only options that they provide you are left-wing, Black Lives Matter, immigrant rights, neurodiversity, disability rights, trans rights. It is absurd. Based on what I can see, people out there are desperate. They are serious.
They have dating apps for conservatives, motherfucker. Just go use a conservative dating app.
It's about dating. They want to find a partner. They want to easily find matches who share their values through your app. But you're too busy peddling 10-year-old feminist talking points that literally no one cares about. Get it together. This was not a rebrand. Well, guys, I hope you liked this.
I actually attended quite a few Pride
We're not
festivals.
gonna get into this one. We don't have time for that one. I meant to click on this one.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm Brett Cooper. About a year ago, I feel like we were talking about J.K. Rowling all the time. There was so much in the news with her. She was reacting to Matt Walsh's What is a Woman? She was getting in debates with people. Hogwarts Legacy was coming out. Like, no matter what she does, she makes people screech and cry and throw up. They're triggered. It's awful. And even if she hasn't said anything on a particular day, people still have this response to things that she is simply connected to. Like new parts of the Harry Potter franchise. Like when Hogwarts Legacy came out, people literally got canceled and fired for playing the game. A woman literally got fired for saying that she was excited to play Hogwarts Legacy. We did a whole episode about it. We can link it below. It was a wild, wild story. It just goes to show how insane people are about J.K. Rowling. But most people's anger towards J.K. Rowling is based on what other people have told them. And sadly, her name is now synonymous with being a bigoted transphobe simply because people have regurgitated that for years. However, one teacher online...
Because she's the queen trans... What do you mean? She's earned the title, rightfully so. She is the queen transphobe.
...is breaking through all of this noise, and he's going viral for his absolutely masterful dissection of this.
It was perfect. Perfect.
And we need to watch. Before we do, though, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a comment section episode or one of our Friday live streams. So first of all, what I just said about J.K. Rowling being a confirmed bigoted transphobe in the eyes of the mob is an example of elusive truth. And I think that is such an important concept to cover before we dive into the story. And I know what you guys might be thinking, Brett, I did not come to watch your video to go to school, to be, lectured at. Just stick with me for like 2 minutes because I promise it is connected to what we're about to talk about.
You're gonna learn today.
I pulled this definition from the Decision Lab, and they wrote, what is the illusory truth effect? The illusory truth effect, also known as the illusion of truth, describes how when we hear the same false information repeated again and again, we often come to believe that it is true. Troublingly, this even happens when people know better. That is, when people initially know that the misinformation is false. Relevant? Much? Guys, like this is literally how our current media landscape works. We read the same inflammatory headlines from all news sources. We never read deeper into the articles, and suddenly, in our brains, those inflammatory headlines are just the truth. Another example is how publications will publish literal slander and outright lies, and they will leave it up long enough for people to read the articles, to read and absorb the false information, or until they get caught. And then maybe a year later, after they've been sued, they will quietly put a little correction at the bottom of the article. But no one sees that. They don't publicize that. They don't say, hey, we were wrong, we lied to you. Obviously, they don't do that. So the public doesn't know how often it occurs. They've been lied to. They absorb these lies. The media correct.
Is she gonna make a statement that conservative media does this all the time too? Probably not.
fix it? Nobody knows. It happens every single day.
Did I do that?
I mean, it's literally rotting our brains. If you don't want that to happen, you need to make sure that you are giving your brain and your fruits and vegetables. It goes out your first before to Joseph Goebbels, who was Hitler's Minister of Propaganda. That was literally his title. Paul Joseph Goebbels was a German philologist and Nazi politician who was the Gauleiter of Berlin, chief propagandist for the Nazi Party, and then Reich Minister of Propaganda from 1933 to 1945. His job was to lie to the public, to make people fall in line for Hitler and grow to hate the Jewish people. He was a master manipulator, and it is horrifying what he did and what he was able to make people believe and do. And that makes that quote all the more sinister because he knew what he was doing. They all knew what they were doing, obviously. But that quote, even though it's horrifying considering the context, still stands. And this guy would know because those tactics were effective, and they are still effective today. And a perfect example of this is the lies about J.K. Rowling. For instance, back in January, Discussing Film, who I often reference on the show when we're talking about Hollywood and new remakes, whatever, they posted this about the new Harry Potter series. Known transphobe J.K. Rowling is now reported to be an active executive producer on the Harry Potter series where she will be involved in the show's decision-making. Oh, horrifying. People in the comments were so triggered and upset. No explanation. Just known transphobe stated as a fact.
Because it is a fact. What the fuck do you mean? It is a fact. What are you talking about? And I'm not saying that because I've read headlines. I'm saying that because I've read her tweets. I have read her words that she has written and said over and over and over again. I've read her fucking the little like essay thing she put out a few years ago. I've read that whole thing. I have read all of her tweets multiple times. I don't need someone else to tell me that she's a transphobe. I have seen it with my own eyes, okay?
Because in everybody's minds, that is a fact. No one questions this, but
it
they
is.
obviously should.
Because it is.
One teacher is doing just that, and a video of him dissecting these lies and facts about J.K. Rowling is going viral for all the right reasons. Let's watch.
So these guys want to talk about J.K. Rowling? Is that so? What's going on with that? What do you want to know?
She's had a pretty controversial past. I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts on it? Like,
so let's get specific though. Let's define bigoted opinions. What opinions are bigoted? We're going to treat this as a thought experiment. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong or which way to think. The whole point is to learn how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
So when you say bigot, you're starting with the conclusion that given her bigoted opinions.
So 25 seconds in, and he's already saying, so what bigoted opinions? And I'm so excited because when you ask people those types of questions, like, so what did Trump actually do that makes you so angry?
I have a list. Do you want a list? I can give you a list of the things that Trump has done that has made me unhappy, because it's a long list too. Okay, we can go till 6 on the dot. My thing got moved to later. My pickup got moved to 7, so we can just go on and call at 6, if that's fine with you.
What did Trump actually say that is so racist, bigoted, homophobic, whatever? They don't know.
Are you kidding me? Historically, grab him by the pussy is a direct quote that came out of his mouth. One that everyone knows about. Yes, he actually said all Mexicans are rapists. He said, not all, he said Mexicans are rapists. He said those words. He actively made fun of a disabled person on stage in front of thousands of people, and there is video footage of it. What do you mean? He has actively said transphobic things that are on camera. What are you talking about? People with a better memory than me could list more and more quotes from him, especially. I just don't have a good enough memory to pull the direct quotes off the top of my head. I could probably do a little bit of research and find them pretty easily, but people like Hassan and stuff can pull the exact quotes out of their memory banks. I just don't have the memory for that, so my memory is trash. So
Well, one of my friends said, well, CNN, well, I read something somewhere for sure. They don't know. They literally cannot tell you. They are just sure.
I just listed several, didn't I?
that he is a bigoted transphobe. They are just sure that J.K. Rowling is bigoted.
So when you say
J.K. Rowling is a bigoted transphobe. Do you want me to pull up her Twitter? Do you want me to pull up her Twitter? I'll pull up her Twitter. Watch. I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm going to pull up her Twitter. J.K. Rowling. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see. Let's see. What transphobic things she has them compiled for us on her Twitter. What do you mean? Okay. Okay. Let's scroll down just a little bit. This is 6 hours ago. She's on Twitter a lot. Okay. That sounds fun. Here we go. We scroll back to July 6th. This is, in fact, 4 days ago. How do you know they're women? What could you possibly mean by that? I'm just going to tell him. I'm sure that she doesn't mean anything transphobic by that. I'm sure. Let's see. Here we go. July 5th, 5 days ago. The use of puberty blockers has been halted in Scotland. Our government chose a nice quiet news day to slip out the announcement that they'll be implementing these recommendations of the cast review. Does she have any replies to her own tweets? They didn't show it on the main screen. This is a lie. This is a lie. And it's so wild because you scroll through her replies and it's filled with transphobia. Huh. No. Now some people say, well, she's not saying these things. These are the people in her replies. Well, yeah, but when all of the replies are transphobic, it just makes you think. I know she didn't say it. So we'll keep scrolling. We're only a few days ago. We're just going to keep scrolling. We've got a long, long history here. You know, it's a long history. Here we go, right here. July 2nd, 8 days ago. She uses the term trans-identified men. That is, in fact, a transphobic way to refer to trans women. Wow, look at that, transphobia. 8 days ago. From her own Twitter account that she runs. She does not have someone running it for her. It is her Twitter account. She types out the tweets and sends them. Crazy. Now, if we want to really see all of the transphobia, we'd have to go back a bit further to see all the the beginnings of her transphobia on Twitter. Those ones are a bit more overtly transphobic. They're a bit less, I'm just fighting for women's rights, and more along the lines of, ew, trans people, gross, go kill yourself. So, you know, and she obviously she doesn't say those words, but that is the gist of what she's saying in those older tweets. Right now, it's a lot more about like UK politics and stuff that are going on right now, but it is almost all centered around trans stuff in one way or another. Here we go. She retweeted this post and said this right here. She agrees with this post that says, the point is not that men who say they are women are a particular danger to women. The point is that men who say they are women are still men, and women's privacy and dignity, and sometimes safety too, are compromised if we pretend otherwise. That is transphobia. That's what that is. No, trans women are women. They are not men. They are trans women. They are women. Wow. So stating that even the phrase men who say they are women is a transphobic statement, but men who say they are women are still men is a transphobic statement through and through. That's what that is. That is transphobia. And she said, oh, I agree with this. Let me retweet it. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Did that take us very long? No, it didn't. What, 10 minutes?
You're starting with the conclusion that given her bigoted opinions.
Yeah,
so first
her,
let's start with, does she have bigoted opinions? So when you
She sure does.
She has had a history of being extremely transphobic, I've heard.
I've heard. That's where it comes in. At least he's self-aware.
Can you give me an example?
If you look at her Twitter, I think you could see a few things. If you want, I could try and find
see
something.
See if you can find one.
Already, he has no idea. Maybe I'll find something I've heard. I thank you. If you look on Twitter...
I'll direct you towards ContraPoints' video on J.K. Rowling, her first video, or the second one, but specifically the first video from a few years back, where she covers a good chunk of those transphobic tweets and quotes them and puts them on screen for us to see. So she's not just making shit up.
No, you go look on Twitter. Find it. And he does.
One of these tweets that she came out with in 2019, she said, dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you, live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real.
So you find that bigoted?
So you find that bigoted? Nothing in that tweet was bigoted. Literally, she started out...
It sure is. It sure is bigoted. It absolutely is. You want me to prove it? I'll prove it to you. I got you. I don't even need to. Contra already did. She already did. I got you. Easy. Hold on, give me a second.
Authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were describing.
Here we go.
Body I have, a transsexual says.
Here we are.
As if I didn't start taking female hormones. It's male and has a walk at work actor, and I don't sex or trade except by implication. When transphobes say sex is real,
no declaration can turn a female person into a male.
Out. Maybe she just doesn't think people should lose their job for having bigoted opinions, even if she disagrees with those opinions. But if that's all she was saying, I wouldn't be making this video, would I? The full tweet reads,
dress however you please.
Here we go.
Call yourself whatever you like.
I don't even gotta do that.
Sleep
I'm
with
gonna
any
go pee.
consenting
Enjoy
adult
Contra.
who will have you. Live your best life in peace and security. But force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real. Hashtag I stand with Maya. Hashtag this is not a drill.
Now I'm guessing that to most people, this tweet at first glance doesn't seem transphobic. It might even seem supportive of trans people since, as she said, we're allowed to dress however we want and call ourselves whatever crazy thing. But there's a couple things about this that don't sit right with me. First is the phrase, force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real. Sex is real is a pretty dishonest summary of what Maya said in her discrimination complaint. Namely,
I believe that it is impossible to change your sex or to lose your sex. Girls grow up to be women, boys grow up to be men. No change of clothes or hairstyle, no plastic surgery, no accident or illness, no course of hormones, no force of will or social conditioning, no declaration can turn a female person into a male or a male person into a female.
If Joanne had said Maya had been fired for claiming that a person born male could never be a woman and a person born female could never be a man, That would have been more accurate, but it would also sound contentious and obviously anti-trans. Sex is real is a euphemism designed to present Maya Forstadter's transphobia as a simple statement of fact, basic common sense, which only crazy activists and ideologues would oppose. Transphobes love to play this game where they pretend that trans people just don't understand basic biology. That's our problem. As if I didn't start taking female hormones because I'm acutely aware that my body is not the same as a cis woman's body, that sex is real.
You will never be a woman, Nathan. Every cell in your body is male and has a Y chromosome.
Really? That's crazy. How'd you learn so much about science? You know, I don't really feel the need to have a second X chromosome. I get by with one. I make it work. I actually like the Y chromosome. I think it's a little more dainty, you know? It's a little softer, a little more petite. The X chromosome has a lot of extra appendages, don't you think? And I don't need any more of those, thanks. No trans person thinks it's possible to change chromosomal sex, and to pretend otherwise is to argue in bad faith. When we say that someone is a trans man or a trans woman, we're talking about psychological and social identity. So when transphobes say sex is real, they're not actually contradicting anything most trans people believe, except by implication. When transphobes say sex is real, what they mean is only chromosomal sex matters. They mean they don't believe in transgender identity, which they trivialize, calling it dressing up, fashion choices, whatever you want to call yourself. When Joanne says, dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, she's belittling what it actually means to be trans, reducing it to a change of name and costume. It's similar to the language of casual homophobes. For example, the homophobic equivalent of Joanne's tweet might read, choose whatever lifestyle you want. Indulge your sexual preferences with any consenting adult in the privacy of your own bedroom. But force Christians out of their jobs for stating that marriage is between a man and a woman? Hashtag I stand with Kim Davis. A penis and a sausage cannot make a baby. Checkmate the gays. It's just science. Homophobes trivialize what it is to be gay. They refer to it as sexual preferences, or a lifestyle, or what you do in the bedroom. We don't tell straight people to keep their lifestyle in the bedroom, but we should. Clearly, the straights are not oppressed enough. Being gay is more than what you do in the bedroom. It's also who you love. It's part of who you are, part of your humanity, and that's something that stays with you outside of the bedroom. So to dismiss it as sexual preferences is homophobic. Likewise, being trans is not a costume I take off at the end of the night. It's not a fashion choice. It's not a pet name some people call me. It's part of who I am as a person, you know? It's part of my humanity. And it's also the kind of body I have, a transsexual body. So telling trans people dress however you want is not really a supportive statement. Unless you're supporting YouTubers wearing Louis Vuitton socks in their videos apologizing for being racist, which is not valid, and is in fact a hate crime. YouTubers are constantly dragging each other because we see ourselves reflected in the other, and we can't stand the sight of it. So after the Maya Forstadter tweet, Joanne was silent about trans people for 6 months. But she took up the cause again in June 2019, first to complain about the use of the phrase people who menstruate in the title of an article trying to include trans men and non-binary people in a discussion of period poverty. That same night, and presumably in response to her Twitter mentions being lit up by leftist teenagers who think Stalin did nothing wrong but Rachel Maddow is a war criminal, Joanne tweeted a thread, again repeating this.
No worries, Christian. I'm nearly done anyways. We're going to stop in about 10 minutes, so... There we go. Okay.
The entire tweet by being incredibly inclusive. Do whatever you want. You're an adult. I don't care. But what's happening to women who stand up for other women is wrong. Completely missing the first part.
It was deemed transphobic. Like, I myself...
Do you find that transphobic yourself?
I don't really have an opinion on it, but I'm just going with what a lot of other people have said.
That was so important. The self-awareness there. I don't know if it was actually self-awareness or whether it was just like some kind of Freudian slip.
お前はどうする頭の中を整理してくるこの先にタワーがある遺跡へ
And he didn't know what he just said. Well, I've heard, I don't really know. People have just told me. You just admitted What you said at the beginning was a lie. Her known bigoted opinions.
Let's not go with what other people are saying. Let's try and learn how to critically think. So let's analyze the tweet ourselves. So that statement, do you see anything problematic?
She did try and pin some things on a specific group of people.
Where does she do that? Can you read that?
But force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real.
So when I hear...
Yeah, we can skip this part. Contra already covered it.
Of content, a piece of literature, something going on in the...
You say there, I haven't read that.
I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans.
That is so transphobic. That is just the worst. So
It kind of is. Because we are discriminated against on the basis of being trans. Where's the march, JK? Where's the march?
true, guys. She really is a bigot. God, she's just the worst.
At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it is hateful to say so.
You see anything problematic there?
She's apologizing, so no, not really. If I could read it again.
It sounds like a very similar statement as what she was just saying.
Also, I don't even see that as an apology. It's basically the exact same tweet written in a different way. I respect you, you're an adult. However, that's not changing my opinion. That's not an apology. Does this kid even know what an apology is? I worry about the young people.
So I guess now that we're looking at it like, oh, there's not much difference between me or her. Do you think it's fair that that she's being attacked by a large group of people and people are calling her, like you said at the beginning of this conversation, you said, given the fact that J.K. Rowling is transphobic, how do you feel about Harry Potter? Now, retroactively looking at that statement, do you think that that was the best way to phrase?
No, I feel like an idiot now.
It's okay though, but this is why we do this, to learn how to think.
That last point that he made is going back to the question, because if you are framing your question in a way that is biased or not founded on critical thinking, your premise is all screwed up. You're not going to be able to get a thoughtful, intelligent answer because you're already coming at it from a bias, with an illusion of truth.
It's not a bias. This is like, absolutely people come to things with a bias. We're human. We are biased creatures. That's how being alive works. We are biased in the way that we live and exist all the time. Like, that's just true. But stating that it's a fact that J.K. Rowling is transphobic is not a bias, because it is a fact. It is known and it is true. Which Contra has already shown us.
Truth. The questions that you ask are just as important as the answers that you are trying to obtain, or the truth that you are trying.
We are going to call it there. That's enough brain rot for today. I will see you all next week. Bye.